Results were shocking and even horrifying.
Donald Trump, who tried to forcibly overturn the results of the last election, was returned to office by an overwhelming majority.
This is the same Donald Trump who openly called for vengeance against his political enemies.
And now, thanks to the Supreme Court, there are no guardrails.
Nothing to protect the people who are brave enough to speak out against him.
And that is why we at SNL would like to say to Donald Trump, we have been with you all along.
We have never wavered in our support of you, even when others doubted you.
Thank you, SNL. Oh my God, only the comedians are going to save us now. Jody Hamilton's back, yay! Okay, so we talked yesterday on the phone, cried, talked to Bob Cesca, cried, talked to JoJo from Jurors, and we mostly just swore, which we're going to do a very special, uncensored happy hour tomorrow after the show with JoJo, me and Spicy Jody and JoJo, because that conversation was hilarious.
I bet.
You can't really talk about this without swears, can you, Sean?
No.
I mean, we will for your
We
sake.
have to.
So you don't have
For
to hit
Sean, but-
Yeah, yeah. Hi, Sean, filling in for Chris LeBoy.
Hi.
We're all a little tired, a little on edge. You know what? Your song is perfect, though. Can I just say? Everyone can shut up. I don't want to hear. If I have to hear Morning Joe quote Morning Down, one more. Everyone shut up, Bernie. Shut up, Nancy Pelosi's. Everybody. Shut up. Just shut up. Everybody shut up.
Why don't you just shut up?
Thank you, Jody. Thank you. Oh, my God. It's a lot, right? The knives are out, and this is stop doing Russia's work. This is what they want us to do: is all fight with each other and place blame here or there. There's plenty of blame to go around, you know. And by the way, people go, "Well, you guys just didn't know you live in a liberal bubble." A lot of prominent Republicans and pollsters and pundits thought she was going to win.
She should have.
Thank you. And as we keep saying, first of all, they didn't even change their candidate last time they lost, but now it's like, what's wrong with the Democratic Party? They got to stop talking down to people.
I'm sorry.
First of all, I'm
He
sorry,
what?
talking down to people is calling people rapists and garbage. Donald Trump doesn't talk down to people. Kamala Harris did not talk down
She
to
did not at
people.
all.
She had actually real plans for real people. I'm telling you. I'm hoping, Jody, this finally does, because enough people now are saying it, that it's disinformation. It's this right-wing media infrastructure that way outnumbers us. Because I was saying last week, Jody, if we lost on real issues, that's
one
fine.
thing, yeah.
We just lost the debate this time on certain issues. They won on pure lies that were just in Fox News, right-wing radio, right-wing podcasts. I was saying if I thought people were doing trans surgery on my kid without my permission and Haitians were eating my pets, I'd vote that way too.
Yeah.
But it's all lies. I mean, that's what I think is so...
He also didn't gain any voters.
No.
She just didn't get the voters she needed.
By the way, that's the other thing. I know, by the way, respect everybody's process. Jody said you are both Capricorn and Irish, and you can stay mad for 4 years.
Oh, easily.
You did it.
And a middle child.
Jody,
It's a combo plate. It's a middle child, Capricorn, and Irish.
Jody and her husband are remarkably talented. They did it because I said, I love this. It might be a little too angry for a show open for 4 years, but it's fantastic, and I understand how you're feeling.
5,
everybody.
Fine. I ain't going down, I'm swinging.
Come on. How talented is our executive producer? Yeah, Sean, you know what happened? I was trying to decide between Fighter, Christina Aguilera, or Brave, Sarah Bareilles, which we did. And Jody's husband, Lonnie, and Chris both said Brave. And I'm like, oh, I see how the patriarchy's going to work. Okay, so I don't get it. Okay, fine.
Her name is on the show.
I remember we thought, oh, maybe Fighter's a little too angry. And I'm like, is there a too angry right now?
No.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm going to try and share, because a lot of people they can't either get through or they're too scared to call. And there's so many smart people, have so many great thoughts. I'll try to, because that's what this is about. This is our national resistance meeting place again for you to, and wherever you are in the process is fine. If you're still crying, Jody and I cried again yesterday. If you're still crying, if you're angry, someone said they tuned out last week because Chris was too cheery. And I was like, well, if you tuned in for the other 2 hours, I was crying. So there's a little something for everybody here. But like SNL has proven it, and Jimmy Kimmel, we've got to laugh again. That's where our power is. And you made so many points, but you made a good point. Do not feel overwhelmed. There's 76 million of us. Is that the latest popular vote count? He won by a couple million votes or something. He's at 78 points. I don't have the actual numbers right in front of me. What's the matter?
3 million right now.
3 million. Yeah. But as you said, Jody, less people voted for him than voted last time. There are silver linings. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but also just the historians. Oh my God, I'm so happy we have Heather Cox Richardson today, who so many people have been sending me her stuff forever. Historian, we've been here before. We have been in the dark times, and as Barack Obama said, this was kind of a worldwide throw the incumbents, throw the bums out election, post-pandemic and inflation and all of that. This has happened before, and so it's, I know it feels awful and but all of this, like, okay. I go here. By the way, just so many good. Robert Reich, thank you. To recap, the Republican Party has opposed paid sick leave, paid family and medical leave, universal child care, universal pre-K, tax increases on corporations and the rich, the expanded child tax credit, student debt relief. It doesn't sound like the party of the working class to me. So I'm sorry, it's not helpful, Bernie, to go, oh, Democrats aren't the party of the working people anymore.
Yeah, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Our policies have always, I understand we lost the messaging battle this time, but again, it all goes back to this, not just the right-wing media infrastructure, the mainstream media. They didn't report on any of Biden's successes. No. So it's just, and I don't know how else we could have messaged that we have the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years, that inflation is back down to pre-pandemic levels.
It's lower than 2012.
Oh my God, Sean, I screamed at my Uber driver this weekend because he was like, well, he had his phone like this. He's like, all I know is, my money is looking better now. I'm like, Joe Biden's still president, you moron. Joe Biden. It was like the day after the election. But this is what I mean. Remember Rachel Bittencofer was telling us the day after Biden was elected, when she polled Republicans, they're like, oh, the economy sucks now. Because they're just so tribal. They're like, oh, Biden sucks,
Oh, no, he's good.
I didn't actually scream at him. I got along fine, but I was like, maybe we shouldn't talk. Is it too late for me to hit quiet car? Quiet car.
I mean, Donald is going to take credit for the economy as
of
soon
course.
as he takes.
He already has,
Yeah.
right? Remember he said, oh, yeah, the stock market's going up because, they know I'm coming. I'm like, oh, my God. But anyway, that's what I'm saying is I understand we obviously lost the messaging battle, but we are the party. And we were just saying this is so not productive, whether it's Nancy Pelosi saying Biden should have gotten out earlier or Biden's camp saying he would have won. Or I was saying last week, I feel like one of the most valuable statistics was Matt Dowd saying throughout history, the president's approval rating, who is currently in office, is the biggest predicator. And Biden's at 40%. Is it fair? No. We go back to our media problem.
Right.
But that's what they get. Like he said, Carter was at 40%. He got 40%. You can't win with that. He said Kamala Harris actually outperformed that at 48%. So in some ways, Jody, everybody's right and everybody's wrong. Like, yes, she had too short a runway. Yes, if Biden had gotten out sooner, Barack Obama had a year and a half to get the American people get to know him and build a coalition. Lawrence O'Donnell was right. Nobody in history that replaced their candidate this late has ever won. But Biden likely would have suffered the same fate at 40% and with ageism, replaced misogyny and racism with ageism. So, there's a lot of coulda, shoulda, but it's just, Lindy Lee, I was telling you, I was very disappointed. Went on Fox News and stabbed Biden and Harris in the back.
I saw that. I was like,
I don't even know,
what?
and she doesn't know. Well, she's not behind the scenes, but she was sort of like, Biden endorsing Kamala was a big FU to the party, and
How was that
she
an
saddled
FU?
he saddled the party with Kamala. I'm like, saddled? What? This is what the majority wanted. Obviously there were not very few choices with 90 days out. So it was a perfect storm of factors, I think, and Wajahat Ali said, as the collective freakout continues, Harris will lose by about 1.5 points. Trump will get about 50% of the vote. By the way, keep in mind how few people vote. That's it's a little above 30% of America. So when you feel like we are an awful country and, oh my God, everybody's an idiot, that's one of our biggest challenges, I think, of our lifetime, Jody, is getting people to care and to vote. Do you know one of the biggest Google searches, Sean, election day? Did Joe Biden drop out?
Oh, and can I change my vote?
The Latino family interviewed go, oh, well, he's not going to deport our undocumented relatives because
Yeah, he will.
they're not criminals. I'm like, here's my new theory. I think he is, in fact, the devil. I think he is,
Oh,
in
I've
fact,
said that he's the
El
Antichrist.
Diablo.
He's the Antichrist.
You would convince Hispanic people to vote for him. Deporting, women to vote against their rights. Oh, I saw lots of videos of college kids celebrating Trump's win. Were those same kids protesting Gaza, which is now going to be a parking lot with Jared Kushner condos on it and built over dead Palestinians?
Yeah.
I hate everyone. Have I mentioned I hate everyone? You know what? Maybe we do need a super angry song. Is there anything angrier?
So right now she's at 71 million and
Yeah.
some change, and he's at 74 million and some change.
Yeah. Trump will get about 50% of the vote. Across the Rust Belt swing states, Harris would have lost by less than 150,000 votes, it seems. Trump isn't some wizard or genius. 3 factors determine this election. Post-pandemic reality, where nearly every incumbent party lost. 2, racism, misogyny that many white colleagues still refuse to acknowledge as a major factor. 3, right-wing media domination and disinformation. Period. I'm uplifted that, Jody, that more and more people are getting that, and
But will they
maybe
remember?
Right. I mean, but I know, and then I'm quoting Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and I'm like, oh, that they did get shot. But still,
They did get killed, yes.
these movements take time, and
And Jill Stein got
and there's
700
always setbacks.
Jill Stein got 705,000 votes so far, and Kennedy got 681,000 votes so far. So
I hate all
that's
those
helpful.
people. Hate all those people for
Helpful.
surezies.
Helpful.
Can you play Jody Shut Up montage? Just for those people. Just for you.
Why don't you just shut up?
Thank you, Jody. Okay. Wow, what a morning to have Heather Cox Richardson on. Fantastic. And Rude Pundit. Ooh, we're all professored up this morning.
We are.
Let's take that. 19 minutes. Fancy book learning. 19 minutes after the hour this point. Hi, Glenn. Good morning. I've been thinking about you a lot.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, Glenn. Got to just, well, your first tweet, because I looked, I almost called you. I think we've all been like, do we give people time? But you're one of the people I wanted to talk to, obviously, at the top of the list. You just said a bitter pill. I'm struggling to find words this morning, my friend, so I'll defer to the wisdom and eloquence of Abraham Lincoln. First, adhere to your purpose and you will soon feel as well as you ever did. On the contrary, if you falter and give up, you will lose the power of keeping any resolution and will regret it all your life. Second, one of my all-time favorite Lincoln quotes, be sure to put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. For now, find community and comfort in your loved ones, your friends, your neighbors. Support one another because the struggle for American democracy will continue. Thank you for that, Glenn. You're one of the lights that people look to. So give us just your reaction Tuesday night, your thoughts since then.
Yeah, well, first, I thought better of the American people.
Yeah.
I really did. I don't want to start pointing fingers either at politicians or campaigns or my fellow American voters who, made the choice in favor of hate and division and misogyny and xenophobia and prejudice. And I guess I just did point the finger, and that really was not my intent. But because a couple of things I want to say, anything you say that's positive feels like it's Pollyanna right now.
Yeah.
But you have to keep saying it. And so the darkness is descending on America. There's no two ways about it, because we're going to have an administration filled with Donald Trump's criminal associates and sycophants and oligarchs and lapdogs who are only going to be interested in enriching themselves and who will probably do more harm to Donald Trump's base and his voters than they do to many others. But the darkness is descending on America. So what do? We pull on our effing night goggles and we keep fighting like hell, because the light will come again. The light will come again.
Yeah.
And, people have been yelling at me in all caps ever since the election results came out that, you see, Glenn, justice doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I say, your anger at the injustice you're seeing proves that justice matters. It proves the very point, right? It does matter. That's why we're so damn angry at what has happened. But you know what? We keep fighting. We don't crawl into a hole and die. We keep fighting because the light will come again.
And it occurs to me, Glenn, that, you're a legal, analyst. You're a legal expert, a former prosecutor. We're not in any kind of normal world anymore. We are not. We are not in a nation of. We're not in a nation of laws. We're in a nation of not just men, one man. We're in some extra legal place that I know you don't recognize. I wanted to get your take. I don't know if you saw Max Burns' piece, "America Will Regret Its Decision to Re-elect Donald Trump," but he just writes, "Our democratic institutions are not ready for what comes next. Neither are the American people. A man with 34 felony convictions can't win the presidency in a nation where trust in institutions is high. It's only in a culture where the justice system has long since lost its legitimacy that a man with such a thick criminal record as Trump glides by relatively unremarked. That one man can so effortlessly game America's institutions to his own benefit says as much about the decrepit state of America's institutions as it does about the moral decrepitude of the crook. The 9 years of the Trump era have taken a bat to our democracy, and Trump's MAGA movement has exploited the nation's systemic weakness at every turn. Political misinformation flooded social media networks owned by Trump's key allies or by Trump personally. Meanwhile, Trump and compliant Republican lawmakers torched public trust in the courts, first by appointing an ethically vacant Supreme Court and later by urging his followers to hate and distrust not only the judges who tried him, but the entire rigged justice system." I mean, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
It does. And it all funnels up to the rot at the top, the rot at the top being the Supreme Court. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing an autopsy on how the Department of Justice let us down, dropped the ball, because Donald Trump could have been successfully prosecuted years ago, but he wasn't. And that was really due to DOJ's delay and inaction. They were finally prodded into action by Congress, by the J6 Select Committee.
Stephanie Miller.
What? Sherry, Jacobus tweets, Putin plastering Melania's softcore porn work all over Russian TV is a shot across the bow to Trump to do each and everything Putin orders him to do. Putin will occasionally do something to remind Trump who's boss and who really runs America now. Can I tell you, Jody, how many people have started a conversation with me with, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but right, because this seems so overwhelming that you look like a lunatic, but I don't know. Would you put anything past Putin and Elon Musk and Donald Trump at this point? I wouldn't. Will we ever be able to prove it? Probably not. But I understand people having a lot of questions about, exactly, and people that way above my pay grade in terms of data and statistics and all that stuff. But like you were saying, just that he got less votes than he did last time, right? I mean, it's just. Michael Tomasky, our friend, says it wasn't the economy, it wasn't inflation or anything else. It was how people perceive those things, which points to one overpowering answer of the right-wing media. Thank you again. Good God above tweets, dear people who just Googled what tariffs mean, enjoy your inflated grocery prices next year. It's your fault. You're the problem. It's you. And one last one, our friend Bob Seska, who I don't know if we were talking each other down off the ledge yesterday, but he said, I guess we all need to start bashing trans people and immigrants while establishing alliances with autocratic foreign nations that flood our social media with disinformation to swing the discourse their way. Beware of the post-election takes that demand we sell our souls. We can win without doing that. Thank you, Bob. Exactly. I told him he's one of my little bright lights. As is Seth, my homo of hope. Hello, Seth.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back, Jody. Hello, Sean. So a couple of things. Hope I have time. Number one, if they keep the filibuster, I want to remind everybody in the Senate, minority rules. And just like their minority kept us from doing great things, our minority will keep them from doing some of the awful things. So let's hold on to that, as terrible as these things are.
Right.
And I also want to say, this firing squad is insane, because had she won, like the same thing she's done, everybody would have been saying was brilliant, because it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And
people that are like, oh, she didn't distance herself from Biden. It's like, well, how would that have gone with a lot of us in the base that were already pissed about the way Biden was pushed out if she ran on Biden sucked? Right. I mean, it's like, and he provably has one of the best records in history. Yep. And so
exactly, Stephanie. Nobody remembered that 4 years ago, we were in COVID, a crashed economy. Like, we started from 40 miles below ground to get us to this great place where we are.
Yeah.
And that was my one complaint. Like, were they trying to get her to separate from Biden? Go, no, we did great things, and now we're going to do greater things.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you, Seth. The only thing that's not helpful, everyone can have an opinion, it's just the circular firing squad. Stop. Like, I've loved all these people. I love Obama and Biden and Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi. They've all, been great leaders. It just stop already with the, blame game and protecting your legacy or whatever.
The campaign, she was brilliant. And that's what Democrats always do.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, honey, we're hitting a heartbreak, but that's again, I keep saying, the person you cannot blame is Kamala Harris.
No.
She ran an amazing campaign in 90 days, right? And way outperformed, where Biden was. So 29 minutes after the hour, we need some rudeness, I think.
I think
Rude Pundit next.
share some of my thoughts and feelings about what happened and how much I'm going to miss democracy and whatnot. And I heard from a lot of people about it, but none more prominent than the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, who this morning tweeted, Kimmel is an insufferable nonsense propaganda puppet, which at least my children like me, you know, it's... I have to take issue with that. The guy who paid people $1 million a day to vote for Donald Trump is calling me a propaganda puppet. Listen, Kermit, you bought Twitter. You bought a social media platform that is literally a propaganda machine.
Thank you, Jimmy Kimmel. The comedians will save us. By the way, I'm not quitting Twitter. I'm not quitting anywhere. I've got no place else to go. Because did you see Zuckerberg's statement? Could he get his tongue any further up Trump's ass, too? Oh, my God. He's Threads, right? He's Facebook. Everybody this morning. Carlos Alzraki tweets, 4 years ago at Biden's inauguration, Amanda Gorman gave us a poem about unity, collaboration, and togetherness. This year it will be a hammered Roseanne Barr farting the national anthem. We have some of the early rehearsals. Yeah. Enjoy it. Enjoy your crappy comedians. Okay. Okay. By the way, thank you. Born to Run tweets. He was talking to a maggot. When you say dull, do you mean not acting like a hole? Plenty of good, not dull, left-leaning media. Stephanie Miller, Hal Sparks, John Fugelsang, Bob Seska, Glenn Kirshner, Frangela. Sexy liberals are smart, fun, and have very wide appeal. You don't have to act like a Rogan bro. Thank you. Thank you. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert are funnier than ever. Do you know anyone that watches Bill Maher anymore?
No.
Since he's become a cranky old Republican, essentially.
Somebody called him a liberal the other day. I'm like,
oh, please.
No, he's a libertarian, but he's not a liberal.
Oh, please. Let's talk to a real liberal.
Hey, Rude, don't say things bad. You're on Steph's show. You're not on Twitter. Back out and let Freddie remember to let a joke about farts. Then you can start to make it better.
Oh, my God. Hi, Rude.
Hello.
Hang on. Oh, no, I misplaced your tweet that I loved. I love everything you say and do. Here it is, to our discussion we were just having. You said all these Democrats abandoned the working class are just people buying into Republicans' framing of every issue. Democrats didn't sell how they helped the working class as well as Republicans sold their lies, but they sure as...
Stephanie Miller.
Oops, sorry. Sure as... didn't abandon workers. Thank you. I mean, that's got to be part of the discussion. I'm not saying we should be like, oh, la, 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 everything went great. Of course it didn't. But the reasons why are critical, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. All we did was actually pass policies that help the working class.
Thank you.
Instead of just talking about how the working class, is being mistreated.
Right. Yeah.
I guess we should have said yes, everything's still crappy for you, even though we're doing things that are giving you jobs, raising your income, and everything else. And sorry about the worldwide inflation.
And who talks down to people more than Donald Trump? He's called women dumb bitches. Mexicans rapists and Puerto Ricans garbage, which, by the way, your piece entitled America is a Floating Island of Garbage. Very nice, my friend. Just as happy clappy as I would expect.
It was written the day after the election.
But, do you mind if I'm not reading it for you, I'm reading it for, because clearly we're a nation that doesn't read.
No. You know what? I'll unzip and be ready while you read my words to me. What is better pornography than you reading me back?
Your brilliant words. No, but, it is like we were saying. It's driving me crazy. The knives out and the infighting. And this is exactly, good job continuing Russia's work, right? But you just said, about all of this going on. Some of them will blame Harris's failure to offer definite support for Palestinians, condemn Israel's genocide in Gaza. They'll say that failure suppress the Arab American and Muslim vote, as well as turning off Gen Z, turning into the slaughter on TikTok, and lefties who wanted an excuse to pretend to be edgy by not voting or voting third party. They'll blame Harris support for supposedly woke ideas like support for diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. They'll say she was too left. They'll blame Harris for reaching out to Republicans, even campaigning with objectively awful people like Liz Cheney just because they too hate Trump. They'll say she was too far right. Anyway, she embraced Biden too much. They'll say she embraced him too little. They'll say she didn't do enough to cater to this or that Democratic group or constituency. They'll wonder if she should have picked Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro instead of Waltz. They'll say she should have done Joe Rogan's show. Every single decision by the campaign will be questioned and criticized and torn apart. They'll say Joe Biden should have remained the candidate, even though that would have meant another 3 months of Biden's two old stories that were already turning the electorate against him. They'll say Biden shouldn't have run at all, allow Democrats to nominate someone after a bruising primary fight, but there's no guarantee that would have changed the vote. They'll call out Russian interference on Election Day with bomb threats called into multiple locations in black majority districts. They'll say disinformation like fake Haitian voters was spread by malicious nations, eager clout seekers online. They might even blame third-party candidates, although that math doesn't add up, and on and on and on. They will find a way to blame everyone and everything, everyone, except those who deserve the blame. And just take it home for me, right?
Yeah.
What
yeah,
about the people that voted for this despicable rapist criminal?
Yeah, and that's the thing that I talked about this last week is that we're sitting there trying to really suss this out, trying to really dig into what do they want, and we can't accept and I have gotten hell for this from friends of mine and everything else, but I'm going to say it again. There were stupid people. They are stupid. You are stupid if you vote to protect abortion rights and then vote for the person that is going to overturn the rights that you just voted for. You're stupid. Yep. And I'm sorry, that's where we need to get people. Why are they so stupid? And it's not just that right-wing media exists. It's that we have to figure out why people are so into right-wing media. Why do they believe it when it's just obviously BS? How do we overcome the lie threshold that they have set?
Right. I mean, but also you just broke it down. You said they hate what he hates. Right? They want to see retribution against the imagined foes that he's conjured. You said where we see a rapist and a felon and a coup leader, they see a Tony Soprano-like anti-hero. And you just said, let me address this to Trump voters. You are so stupid, just the stupidest mother that were ever allowed to breed. You are so stupid, you won't even realize how badly you've everything up. I mean, I don't know what to say. People Googling after the election what a tariff is. People, Latinos going, how can I change
my vote?
He's going to deport my family? I mean, I was going to ask you as a college professor, have you seen all these TikToks of college kids celebrating Trump's victory? I'm like, are these the same kids protesting Gaza that just now made it into a parking lot made out of dead Palestinians?
You know, I haven't had students like that. And in fact, my students were they were very upset on Wednesday evening. We talked about it, and it was, it was disheartening. And some of them didn't truly understand how bad it is when I explained that that deporting DACA kids is something they are going to do. I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy talked about that this weekend on ABC. And I mean, they just, even those that were disheartened still didn't know the extent of what had just gotten elected. And during class, a student whose family is an immigrant family, her parents texted her to say they were going to move back to Sri Lanka, where their family's from, because they don't want to stay here with the hatred of immigrants that is permeating everything.
Yeah, I trust me. I know that I have friends talking about leaving. I am not leaving. This is our country, true. I'm going to fight for this country that I love too. I mean,
It'll be fun in the camps.
Guy was trying to say, Rude. I mean, again, don't feel overwhelmed. There's 76 million of us. We're not some teensy minority of people. He won by, what did we say, 3 million votes or something?
There's votes are still being counted. So.
Yeah, exactly. But you had so many great thoughts. You were talking about it. Pal is in Tennessee, is a professor at a public university. On Wednesday in theater class, a student asked if they could discuss the election. My friend had to say any discussion of political matter unrelated to the course material that day falls under the state's divisive concepts law, and thus they were banned from talking about it or he'd be breaking the law, and they moved on to acting methods, in case you're wondering where all this is heading.
Yeah, yeah. You can't just have an open discussion. If you're with a group of people in a classroom and, and it happens to not be, that subject for the class, you can't talk about it because, I don't know, you might make a Republican sad or something, or it might upset someone. And it's like, what's wrong with that in a college setting? What is wrong with getting upset? I used to get pissed off all the time in my college classes, and I loved it because I left angry and I wanted to learn more about it instead of just sitting there, getting spoon-fed stuff to regurgitate up later. It's like, and that's what they want. They just want you to be passive vessels for whatever is put into you.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of enough blame to go around, I don't know if this is a thread or tweeted, but you said when some historian in another country writes the story of this shameful age in the U.S., the failure to arrest Trump immediately after Biden's inauguration and then prosecute him quickly will be seen as the moment the nation was damned. I mean, that kind of is the original sin, I think, of this election cycle. And also, just speaking of which, you said, so the word is that president will not pardon his son Hunter, and you said that's up.
I agree.
Why? Because the biggest people in the world will get angry. Democrats never fully use the powers they have, while Republicans stretch it to the breaking point. Thank you. I mean, we always talk about alpha liberals, but that is one of the lessons of that we have got to learn. We've got to regroup and learn how to fight differently. I mean, even Biden apparently has admitted that Merrick Garland was a mistake.
Yeah, but he also appointed Merrick Garland, and you know what? I would not put it past Biden that he wanted Garland to not go after Trump because Biden believed, and he campaigned on this. It was one of the things that was supposed to be so great about Biden. It was that he could work with Republicans. He could bring them to the table and make deals with them. And I think that one of the reasons for the delay in prosecuting Trump was that he didn't want to piss off Republicans and thought that they would be willing partners in advancing the country instead of just going hog wild in blocking everything they could to try to tear back power when they had the chance.
Yeah, yeah. To your point, you said even if we do have a 2028 election, Trumpism will be a cancer that has spread throughout our country, especially in the judiciary. Any opposing candidate who wins will need to be ruthless in cutting it out of our system. I hope someone emerges on the left who has that kind of strength. Otherwise, we're never getting back what we're going to lose. And you also just were commenting on another Republican story. You said these will die trying to kill democracy. I know Gavin Newsom is emerging, Governor Pritzker, two people I know and love. That I think are, what we're talking about. Alpha liberals know how to fight, know how to fight back. So,
but we don't know. We don't know who's going to emerge. I mean, it's
it's early. It's a little early.
It's early, and you can't ignore the Obama factor kind of thing, where somebody that you never even thought is going to emerge as the front runner and get the nomination.
Yeah, and I tell you, I was talking to Jody about this, that I love how, of course, Kamala Harris will be kept out of any conversation because, oh, dear God, can't do that again, just like Hillary. But look at Biden, look at Trump, men that have lost before and come back and won. But, that's part of the depressing thing being a woman today, Rude, is just the whole, what you tell your daughters. Because you're like, oh, yeah, absolutely, we can't. That goes without saying we can't. I even said Pete Buttigieg is great and an alpha liberal, but I wonder after a black woman losing, we're going to go, we're not going to try a gay president now,
There is no way that, who knows? Again, I don't want to presume for what's going to happen in 4 years. I don't want to presume what the shift in, the way people are thinking was. You know what I was thinking about in a slightly positive way? Is how after the Obergefell decision, which of course is, who knows what's going to happen with that, legalized same-sex marriage.
The only reason I was thinking we're going to keep gay marriage because Peter Thiel.
There you go.
Possibly. But who knows? I'm
because
sure
there's right-wing gay douchebags. Yeah.
So I was just thinking, though, how quickly the vast majority of the country just accepted it. Right. And it was like, yeah, that's what we do sometimes. We adjust and we accept. And how do we get back to that? How do we get back to that where we're accepting change and not just opposing it and fearing it? And that's the other thing that I think about these voters. It's not just they're stupid, it's that they're such cowards. Yeah. Oh my God, they're afraid of everything. Every little thing. Oh my God, the Haitians are eating dogs. Oh no. And it's like, just shut up.
I thought liberals were supposed to be the victim party. That's the whole election. Is like, if there's something wrong with your life, it's these brown people. Right. Here's who you blame. Here's who you blame.
Yeah, and I'm gonna hole up with my guns because something might happen, even though Dad spent another couple $1,000s on guns for a threat that's never going to come here.
I was, to your point real quick, because as a gay person in California, Rude, it really resonates with me that, every struggle for civil rights, for everything, has had setbacks and moving forward. Part of the reason that we got marriage equality is because they took rights away from us in California. First time in history, they took the right away from people that were already married and said, you're not married anymore. And that's part of how we got marriage equality nationally. So I end by quoting... Well, I'll just do guess the quote, I guess. Rude, who said, when I despair, I remember that all through history, the way of truth and love have always won. There have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they can seem invincible, but in the end, they always fail. Think of it, always.
In honor of Chris, I'll say Magilla Gorilla.
That is wildly inaccurate. That would be Gandhi.
Oh, Gandhi. As you said earlier, though, look how that worked.
Yes, I understand.
The cause was won. The cause was won.
Only when it's darkest can you see the light. Martin Luther King, you're like, oh, dear. Okay, but still, their movement won, is my point.
I'm starting to be filled with piss and vinegar, Stephanie.
Thank you.
I'm on the fence here between, screw this country, I'm out of here, and no, hell no, you don't get my country.
You know what?
Get my country.
You and I should start a new morning show called Piss and Vinegar. Piss and Vinegar in the morning, everybody. I'm Piss, he's Vinegar.
Hey, I'm Piss, she's Vinegar.
Wow. Okay, love you. Go read his piece, it's great. Love you, Rude. It's 50 minutes after the hour, this portion of the show. Come on to me. Hello, personal comedy Jesus.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome. I just want to congratulate the entire Confederacy. Really well done, guys. They never count you out again, I promise. It's, look, this is how it's been at nighttime on Progress as well. People are realizing that we're a country of men who are too weak for a woman president. Yeah. He can be a rapist and a racist and a white supremacist who stole from veterans with a fraudulent online university, lies about innocent migrants. He can violate all 10 commandments, but at least he's not a woman. And that's where we are this week. Yeah. And I'm not giving up because I am in love with the more than half of America that resists this and will continue to resist this. Yeah. This doesn't remind me of 2016. This reminds me of 2004, Steffi. You remember 2004? Yeah. George W. Bush, this aristocrat, brat, illiterate, millionaire at birth, who lied to all of us. And Americans died because of his lies. And crappy white people decided, I don't care that he lied, I'll reelect him. Yeah. And he left office the most unpopular president in history until Bush. And there's no words for how horrible this is going to end for Donald Trump. There's no way this doesn't end like the last scene of Scarface for both him and the eyeliner model. That's how it goes. And if you're down, I have many thoughts today, but I'll just say one thing. If you guys are down and you think you're never going to smile again, just remember all the Ozempic he's been taking has led to so much weight loss and saggy skin that he can no longer wear a collared shirt with a tie without having a neck vagina. And I want that neck vagina to get you through the darkest of nights, folks, because you deserve to laugh at the darkest times.
It's a mangina. It is. So one of my favorite lines of yours that you tweeted is, America's an old couch and Trump is the black light. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the depressing part for a lot of us, John. It's not, because this election isn't about who he is. It's about who we are.
Amen. And we've always been this dirty. We've always found racism acceptable. We've always found treating women like crap acceptable. Show me all the things that the media demanded Kamala Harris do that they required of Donald Trump.
Thank you. Well, and you also said Trump's not the Antichrist, but Christ is the anti-Trump. I mean, this thing that you talk about so eloquently all the time, how the least Christ-like man in the world has become their Messiah. I mean, evangelical leaders celebrate Trump's victory as a prophecy fulfilled. I mean...
Yeah, it's the triumph of Christianity over Christ, okay? Donald Trump is the Christianity what Jesus was to lying, racism, narcissism, disregard for the poor, supporting torture, making the rich richer, hating your enemies, defending white supremacists, taking health care away from poor people, stealing from people with fraud, celebrating greed and wealth, never asking forgiveness, lusting after your own daughter, evicting people from eminent domain law. Geeing women by the P? No, boo-boo. You can enjoy your victory all you want, but anyone who's actually read the New Testament is going to call out these corrosive, flock-fleecing Pharisee frauds. You don't get to call yourself Christian anymore. Those of us who read the Bible are going to call you out.
Yeah.
So do I.
John, okay, can you take your organ out for me? Thank you, Chris. I just, even reading this made my head explode. After having repeatedly depicted the presidential election as a spiritual clash between good and evil, we'd be the evil in this part, and Trump in this scenario is the good.
Yeah,
leading figures in the movement to remake America as an explicitly Christian nation celebrated Trump's victory as a fulfillment of God's divine will. Lance, somebody who cares, a celebrity evangelist, said there's a different dialogue about spirituality happening in America. And with Donald Trump, God has given us permission to take it right to the White House. While evangelical first support for Trump has not wavered since he pledged in early 2016 while running for GOP nomination, if he were elected, Christianity will have power. If I'm there, you're going to have plenty of power. You don't need anybody else, Trump said.
That's their religion, is power. Yeah. That's all they care about. They reject the gospel. They don't give a rat's ass about the things Jesus actually talked about. They want power. I'm writing a whole book about this. And you ask, and the real failing here, Steffi, is the media. Because the media allows these frauds to pass themselves off as what Christianity is. The media will never ask any of these evangelicals, name one teaching of Jesus the MAGA movement fights for. Chapter and verse, please. One thing Christ actually commanded, like welcome the stranger, which he commands in Matthew 25, you immigrant-hating frauds.
Rude Pundit, I left one out, threaded, I mean, at least Hungary has a great national health care system. We get an authoritarian and a system that will be broken even more in the coming months. How about the one lady that voted for Trump that was just interviewed and said, Obamacare saved my life when I had cancer. Is that going to go, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and others thinking that they're getting the $25,000 to help them buy a house because of Donald Trump.
Right. Bob Schooley says pundits demanding Democrats must change everything after about the party, while Republicans didn't even change their candidate when they lost. Thank you. And one more. Randy Mayhem Singer, a disinformation machine funded by the richest billionaire in the world, propelled and supported by our biggest foreign enemy. That's why. Well, that racism and misogyny, not Taylor Swift, Bruce Springsteen, or pronouns. Thank you. Oh, shoot. Karen, I almost slammed you directly into a hard break. I will take you right at the top of the hour. And all the rest of y'all, thanks for hanging on. I know a lot of people have a lot of things to say. And then Heather Cox Richardson in hour 3.
you.
Every single person on this stage voted for you.
Because we see ourselves in you. We look at you and think, that's me.
That's the man I want my future children to look up to.
And Mr. Trump, Your Honor, we know that you say things that are controversial sometimes, but really you're just speaking the truth. And I hate how the lamestream media, Michael Che, tries to spin it to make you look foolish.
So if you're keeping some sort of list of your enemies, then
we should not be on that list.
And it's C-H-E, Che.
Again, God bless the comedians. And also, I wear your enemies list with pride, and also you. Okay, Steve Bannon said Dems getting plenty of advice about their, quote, whiffs of condescension and implied disdain for key groups of voters. But didn't Trump just make big gains with constituencies he's treated with unsettled contempt? Thank you. Who talks down to people more than Donald Trump?
I know.
Tara Dublin says when Trump left office, inflation was 6.7%. Today, it's 2.4. Come back in 1 year and see where it is, you MAGA fuckers. Thank you. And Joyce Vance, our friend, says, whatever the next days and weeks hold, the most important thing is not to let Trump take away your sense of power as an American. We did not quit during Trump's first 4 years in office, and we're not going to quit now.
I ain't gonna quit. Right. I got nowhere else to go.
Yeah, we all have to be Richard Gere now screaming at Louis Gossett Jr. Karen in Chicago. Hello, boo-boo-foo. Hello.
Hi, good morning. So bear with me, Stephanie.
Wherever you are, you are. Don't listen. Nobody apologize where you are. If you're angry, if you're sad, if you're wherever you are, whatever you need to do to take care of yourself, honey, do it.
So I want to start with the positive.
Okay.
Before I started my weekend, Anita and I were lucky enough to coerce the lovely and talented Jody Hamilton. And Jody, by the way, I'm all for yours and Lonnie's song being the opening of the show.
Oh,
Just
by the way,
point
this
of
was an
order.
accident.
It matches-
Whatever we just played now was an accident. That's not our... I don't know what that was.
That's not it.
Sean's just doing his favor by filling in.
I'm
We don't know what happened. Anyway, go ahead.
Whatever Rage Against the Machine vibes you want to throw out there, I'm down. But I want to say this, okay? So I was hoping, I formed this Chicago ladies Steph Head group to go walking in the woods.
I saw that,
and
I liked it and retweeted it. Oh my God, I love that. Listen, I went for a 40-mile ride with my Major Taylor group, and then I went for another 3-hour ride yesterday with my friend Steve. Whatever. First of all, take care of yourself. Get in shape. Get in the fight.
We have to.
So thank you.
We have to, and so thank you because it was wonderful. It felt really good. We had a little roundtable therapy session and just kind of what next type of thing. We are all in the fight. We are not going to give up. But I have to, we have to support our local representatives and JB Pritzker. God bless you. I don't know what this is going to look like, but any bit of obstacle and resistance that we can do. But I am going to say this. I have broken bread with in-laws who voted for Trump in 2016. I don't know how they voted.
Yeah.
I don't know in the subsequent elections, but I'm going to say this right now. What if they did? I am not going to be joining them to celebrate the birth of a brown baby who, if his family showed up at their doorstep, they would deny shelter and food.
Yep.
I am not going to give them aid and comfort with my company or my anything. I am done. I am completely detaching myself from these people. They don't care about my child.
And I don't, by the way, if people in red areas listening, I want you to be safe. I don't want you to provoke people. But you know what? No, I agree with you. F you. You want me to unite with the guy that calls in and calls me a ditch licker? You want me to, Frangela, to unite with the people that are texting black people where to show up to pick cotton? No. You know what? It's like we're always the ones they tell, oh, get over it now. You destroyed the Capitol and pooped all over the walls of our country when you lost. So don't tell me, oh, you're being a sore loser and reach out now. It's like, no, screw you. So wherever you are, honey.
No, and can Yeah, can I just say, though, Stephanie, very quickly, they ran an anti-trans campaign. And I'm sorry to say this, but there are people on both sides of the aisle. Martina Navratilova cares more about a damn sport than she does the safety of my child and other trans children.
Yeah.
We have got to reach out to this community. They're the most vulnerable, I would argue. And by the way, this is a white people problem. White people, white women voted for their right to access of abortion and threw everybody else under the bus.
Yep.
So F them, F the mainstream media, the white folks in mainstream media that want to sit there and talk about economic insecurity for rural Americans, or have panels of black voters that we're not going to support and vote for her, and basically throw themselves under the bus along with everybody else.
Yeah.
I am done with that. Stephanie Rule got an earful from Eddie Glaude, and thank you, Eddie Glaude, and thank you for the black voices in media that are putting out the truth, and thank you for having Heather Cox Richardson on.
Yeah,
we need to come together and fight this tyranny.
That's right. I love you, honey. Go get walking. Get it. Get out there.
I love you.
All right, love you too. Yeah, to Karen's point about her relatives, Randy Mayhem Singer said, we don't have a difference of opinion. We have a difference of character and decency. Yep. And it is different this time. So however you handle it. But also to Karen's point about taking care of herself, she started a walking group. June said, you won't lose me, Steph, and you and family, that means all of us, family, took a big hit. How can anyone not take a break? Your own health and well-being comes first always, period. Take off. Go touch the grass. You're free to come and go as you need. We'll all still be here. We are all more than politics. So do that. Do what feeds your soul. I went, bike riding with friends. I talked to Bob Seska. I talked to Joe from Jers. I talked to Jody Hamilton. I talked to my big sister. Do what you love with the people that you love. Heal yourself, right? And then rise again when you're ready. You're not on anybody else's timeline. John Pavlovitz, our friend in North Carolina, said, suggestion for days like these, don't police people's emotional responses. Allow them to grieve, to be angry, to ask questions, to feel hopeless, to cry, to curse, withdraw, engage, to sleep, to see the possibilities, to have no answers. These are unprecedented times and none of us are equipped. Give grace to yourself and others. Okay. Let me see. Leslie in Long Beach. Hey, Les.
Hey, Steffi. Hey, everybody. I just want to say this quickly as I can. I'm not in the camp of blaming our candidate. She couldn't have done anything different at all. She was a fantastic candidate. Yeah. All of that said, and I'm really tired of the finger pointing, but all of that said, I blame the media 100%. I'm going to tell you why. I looked at a media analysis of just the second quarter of this year, and the three major networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, the number one thing they talked about 43 to 45% of the time was inflation.
Yep.
If that word had been, and two of those three networks in that quarter never mentioned quarterly profits, and only one network mentioned quarterly profits 4% of the time. If those numbers would have been reversed, it could have made a difference because,
well, listen,
obviously
we have Sean sitting here. You know what? Things are too expensive. Kids can't pay off their debt. They can't afford to buy a house. But this isn't Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's fault. And you're right. Corporate greed and greedflation are the reasons. And they didn't do any stories on that, Leslie.
No, they didn't. I wanted to scream at the television, and I don't know if I can say names from a network or not, but Art Melber was one of the worst. Inflation every damn day, and he never followed it up with quarterly profits, price gouging. And so it puts all the blame on the administration instead of where it belongs.
Well, it's like Michael Tomasky said, it's not what is, it's what the perception of what is. And that was formed largely by the mainstream media. I mean, our economy is provably the envy of the world. We have bounced back from COVID better than anybody, despite having the worst possible leader in our response to COVID. Which, you know what the answer is, Jody, really?
Stephanie Miller.
Thank you for so many people for recognizing that. Lisa says, the only current news source I can stomach is Free Speech TV. We need to support independent media. Corporate media is not on our side. Try Stephanie Miller's show and Thom Hartmann show. Thank you, Lisa. Florence said, if Stephanie Miller were on the same number of radio stations as Rush Limbaugh, we'd be in a much better place now. Thank you! And not just me, but the Thom Hartmans and the Randy Rhodes and the John Fugelsings and the Dean Obadalas. Sean, could you take your organ out for me, please? Francis tweets, Luke 23:24. Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. Yeah, I got bad news, Jesus. They knew. They did it anyway. Yep. Sermon is over. Thank you. Robert Reich said, on a somber election night, there were signs of hope in ballot measures. Voters in states across the country approved minimum wage increases, paid sick leave programs, enshrined reproductive rights in state constitutions, and rejected school privatization. Progressive policy is still popular.
Yeah, it is.
Why it makes no sense that they voted for Trump, who was against all of those things.
A lot of people like to split their votes.
Yeah, because
they're stupid.
Because maybe you take a moment to say, okay. One last one. Media Matters said 4 years after fomenting a coup, Trump owes his return at least in part to a rankly dishonest right-wing information ecosystem that helped carry him through countless scandals that would have ended the careers of most politicians, driving his comeback to the pinnacle of power. We were saying Nixon would have survived.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, that's part of this whole thing that you just can't ignore. Let's go to Steve in Arizona. Hi, Steve. Hello. Oh, did I hit it right? Did I do it? No, it's screwed up. All right,
We'll fix that
I'll
later.
come back to it. I'll go back to love. Steve, thank you. Stevens, Tennessee. By the way, give some special love and light to our blueberries in red areas are having a particularly tough time. Be safe. Do not feel alone. He says, Steph, thank you for all you do. I've spent the last few days on an emotional roller coaster. All of us, Steve. My wife is definitely a liberal, but has gotten tired of hearing me bitching about this. And I've also had to do a real gut check about the people in my life I call friends. They're all maggots, and I've never had have never had any guardrails about pissing the opposing side off. So I've decided to end my relationship with them. We're all going to be acquaintances only. I just can't be around people that believe like this. Your show gives me such relief. I'm not alone in this fight. We have to keep it going. Steve, we're all in this fight. We all need each other now more than ever. Believe me, I appreciated so much every single email and thread and tweet and all of that stuff, and phone call. George Conway said, in the end, the majority of Americans chose Trump because they wanted what he was selling, a nonstop reality show of rage and resentment. Some Democrats, still gripped by the lure of wonkery, continue to scratch their heads over which policy proposals might have unlocked more votes. But that was always a mug's game. Trump's voters never cared about policies, and he never gave them any.
Exactly.
Thank you. Again, this whole Kamala Harris being held to this impossible standard, him being held to none,
right.
And us just all sane washing and getting so numb that any single thing he did would have ended any other politician's career. It just became an endless doom loop where we're just like, oh well. And so the American people said, oh well, eggs are too high. So I get, and by the way, I guess racism isn't confined to one category of people. If you can make some brown people feel like they're better than that, they're not the brown people you're talking about, you can fearmonger and divide in those groups as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why I'm looking. I'm literally preaching to the choir.
Yes.
Sean, how are you feeling about this election? Speak for the youngins. Were you shocked? How were you feeling last week?
I was sort of shocked, but
yeah.
No, I think everybody knew better this time than to not vote against Trump.
I'm sorry about my generation.
Actually, it was mine. It was
How many
Gen
times
X.
I have to apologize to Sean, I'm sorry. We literally everything up for you. See, the normally soft-spoken Sean Comiskey has been left even more speechless. Mm-hmm. We're going to be able to find things to talk or not talk about for hours now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay. We love us some. What am I? Oh, Best in Show. That's
There
what I'm
it is.
thinking of. Okay. All right. He's wildly looking for that. All right. Oh, go ahead. Here we go.
Talking and not talking. We could not talk or talk forever.
Yeah.
And still find things to not talk about.
Yeah. I, for one, appreciate Sean Comiskey's, because everyone else won't shut the fuck up. So thank God we can have a little piece of quiet because Sean doesn't overtalk.
Right.
Okay. By the way, that's the little dog in the background. That's my entire life now. I'm just glued to Bonnie and Clyde. So whatever you love, whatever you need. Chris was funny. He said they're two-ply. I said yes, because I've cried into both of them. When one of them gets too soggy, I cry into the other one. Oh, I know, it's late. 21 minutes after. What? All right. Bossing me around. 21 minutes after. I really hope you're watching so you can see the interpretive dance. Because an interpretive dance of rage.
Uh-huh.
Morning.
I don't know. I don't know why we can't get rid of the FCC guideline. Like, I should be able to speak freely.
Yes.
We should have immunity.
Just this week.
Yes.
This week.
For those of us that had to hear over and over, it's only about cost of bacon. Officials in a number of states are responding to reports of racist texts sent by residents in the days after the election. They read, "You have been selected to pick cotton at the nearest plantation. Be ready at 12 sharp with your belongings. Our executive slaves will come get you in a brown van. Be prepared to be searched down once you've entered the plantation. You are in plantation group W." Cell phone users in at least 9 cities reported receiving the texts.
Because that's what they voted for.
Yep. And that's what they knew. They knew that that's what they were voting for.
This is
and
a celebration.
It was a lie. Yep.
What they voted for was the ability to treat brown and black people and women with absolute impunity, to do whatever they wanted, to not have to hide their racism, to get to spit in our faces. And that's what people voted for. And I'm having a very hard time because I'm waking up every morning and getting a lot angrier about the fact that in these states that Trump won, abortion rights also somehow got protected.
Yeah. Yeah.
What that says is that women went in those booths. White women and people went in those booths. They voted against me and for themselves.
Yeah.
They voted to protect their bodily autonomy.
I read your great tweet. You guys said, it's like watching America go back to the drunk, abusive husband. Except that she's taking you with her, like your mom's taking you with her back, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And and here we are forced to be a part, to witness the abuse, We
don't get abused.
And we are going to get abused. You're absolutely right. But you know what? I'm going to tell you. I woke up the next day because, early on I knew it wasn't good. And, but I woke up the next day and my mindset wanted to be angry, wanted to be hurt. Oh, that came later. But what I realized was what I was joyful for is the fact that I live in a bubble.
Yeah.
I live in a bubble with great people. I live in a bubble that is forward thinking, that believes in the law, that, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I just did not know. I really didn't know that the things that I value mean so little to other Americans.
Tonight, Gavin Newsom is having a Zoom call to discuss how this California can insulate itself from the Trump agenda. And, I'm grateful for that. And there was a time when I'm hoping to get back to a place where I feel like I could march for what I know is right. But it's very hard because this election was absolutely a repudiation.
Yeah.
Of it wasn't just, he didn't just win, he won decisively. And he won decisively, and they're going to get the House, it looks like, and the Senate, and they have the judiciary. So anybody, what the decision I think Francis and I both made, and I think a lot of other people are making, is I'm not going to sit here for the next 2 months and watch the media game out what may or may not happen. I'm not going to feel bad about it before it happens, right? The time to have felt bad about it happening has passed.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm not going to spend these next 2 months gaming out, is he not, will there do this? All I know is that everybody needs to get their mind around the resisting and what, like we said on the Final Word this week, what's the plan? So I'm going to that Zoom call because I need to hear a plan.
Yeah. Well, you guys didn't need this. You could have written it in the New York Times. For Black women, America has revealed to us her true self. One of our first callers on Monday was one of our beloveds. I can't remember which. Tanya in Ohio, and I said, you know what? Give Black ladies a second to feel broken. Don't tell Black ladies how to feel this morning or this week. In the New York Times, from the moment Kamala Harris entered the presidential race, Black women could see the mountaintop. But underneath their hope and determination was a persistent worry. Was America ready to elect a Black woman?
Stephanie Miller.
I got nowhere else to go!
All right. Tennessee Holler says every time inflation came up, the media and the Democrats should have been saying it's a global issue fueled largely by corporate greed, and we did better than most countries. Those are the facts. Instead, Biden got the blame, and likely Kamala by extension. Thanks, mainstream media. Enjoy your detention camp. I don't have to go to the same one as Andrea Mitchell, do I? Because that's going to be tense.
No. You'll be in the comedian side.
Okay, good.
It'll be fun.
Good. Wendy says, why does no one understand the real reason Trump won? The right-wing media fed their audience a diet of slanted, distorted information that made it possible for Trump to win. I disagree this is the only reason, but it is one of the most important. I have taken a lot of solace, Jody, in how many people at least seem to be getting that part of this, which is, I think, only everything.
Well, hopefully they'll remember.
Right? Yeah. Aaron Rupar said the problem is most people simply do not absorb quality information. Instead, increasing numbers have a media that is mostly a bunch of lies, conspiracy theories, and irrelevant diatribes that right-wing propagandists use to deceive people. I was saying it'd be different if we lost on the truth.
Right.
We lost on complete lies.
Yes.
Yeah, by the way, this everybody was talking about. Christopher tweeted, this is a Latino family who voted for Trump speaks out. It was about the economy. Trump's threats of mass deportation didn't matter to them as they believe it won't affect their undocumented relatives because they aren't criminals. And Tom Nichols said, and that's not even the best part, the parents came here illegally as teenagers and became citizens under the Reagan amnesty. And now they're not worried about Trump because he'll only deport, quote unquote, the bad people. Man, a lot of people are going to be in the find out part of the, around portion of the program. It's not going to be pretty. 29 minutes after the hour, Heather Cox Richardson coming up. I'm so excited. Her debut appearance on the Stephanie Miller Show.
But I gave it some thought, and I think I figured it out. The reason I'm so heartbroken, destroyed, and absolutely disgusted with the results of this election is that it invalidates everything I have ever been taught about how I should live my life and everything I've tried to teach my kids.
Yeah. Sweeper, guy that everybody's
Yeah, I
talking
don't know
about.
his
He's
real name. He's
all over
just-
social media. Yeah. Soapy T tweets, why are people spewing trash about how you can agree to disagree and still get along, as if vocalizing hate and discrimination toward marginalized groups is somehow analogous to preferring pineapple on pizza, which is also, Sean, as we've covered, an abomination unto the Lord.
It is.
As is voting for Donald Trump.
Yes,
we
those are
cannot be
both-
friends.
No, we cannot.
No. It's exactly. You voted for a felon rapist. Like you can't. We're not disagreeing over tax rates. No. Okay. Randy Bamsinger, this is an interesting point. She just said, I'm usually an empathetic person, but I feel nothing for Trump voters who are about to learn that mass deportations and tariff will raise prices and inflation. Nothing. Zero. In fact, as someone who can't afford higher prices, there's an evil part of me that can't wait to see your moron MAGA faces when you can't. You got what you deserve. I mean, I hate to say it, but all the people they're going, oh, you stupid liberal elitists, a lot of those people are going to be able to afford it. You're not going to be able to. Like, and you'll find out that we were fighting for you. Oh, by the way, I don't include we. I don't include me in the we liberal. I'm just saying we know Hollywood friends that are in the top 1%. But yeah. But I'm just saying all the people they hate, they're going to be able to afford all this. You're not.
Right.
From the Wall Street Journal, out this morning, wages are up 4.6% from a year ago. The economy grew 2.8%, 233,000 jobs in October. This is the most robust economy in the history of the U.S. I don't know what to tell you. The other, how about they're saying, people, I think it was Charlemagne the God said, people just want to feel safe. Crime is way down under Joe Biden.
Thank you.
That's the other lie they just bought, that crime is way up, the economy's terrible, and it's all, And Rude Pundit, tell me how this would have stopped the mass support of the anti-immigrant and anti-trans people lies. Tell me the candidate who would have been able to convince people the economy was actually doing great. Tell me which Democrat would have magically done that. For all of you circular firing squad people, and, it's more important who to blame, right? Steve in Arizona. Hello, Steve.
Hey, Stephanie and
Hi.
crew.
Hi.
Long time, first time.
Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Say, do you know of Randy Rainbow?
Of course I do. He's a genius.
Yeah, you should play some of his work. It's very good.
We do every now and again.
Okay. Say, I felt compelled to call and pass on a very important, powerful message. So, fellow listeners, get your pens or records, recorders ready for this important message. Don't worry, it'll be clean.
It'll be what?
Here's some resistance. The presidential oath requires him to protect the Constitution and the Republic from all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
Well, he's both.
I feel Donald Trump can qualify as a domestic enemy of the Constitution and the Republic. He has already said he's going to suspend and or whatever.
Yeah.
So here's the line you need to say to your representatives. In my opinion, Donald Trump and his agenda is a clear and present danger to the Constitution and the Republic.
All right. Okay.
Clear and present danger.
Thank you, Steve. All right, Steve. Did he say get your pencils and your recording devices?
Mm-hmm. Recording devices and
Okay.
pencils.
All right. It's over there next to my A-truck. Hey, did you see that Dilbert cartoon from 19... Okay. Hey, Randy Rainbow's a guy that does parody songs. Come on, don't be mean. See? Donald Trump has made me mean. Will this ever go away? I don't know.
No.
I apologize, Sean, for my general D-ness, but that's gonna stick. Oh, actually, JoJo from Jersey is coming on tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So when I hung up with her yesterday, I said, I'll see you next Tuesday. Dee McPherson from town. See ya. Okay.
That wasn't very nice of you.
That's how we talk to each other. She said the funniest thing about Nick Fuentes is that
oh, gosh.
It's another word for, that was, okay. Well, she'll say it tomorrow on that. Oh, but we're gonna get 11 billion downloads, I can tell you right now. JoJo from Jers and Spicy Jody and I are going to do a completely uncensored, 10-minute happy hour tomorrow after this regular show. Is there enough swear words for this for what just happened for this cycle of bull? I don't think so. Barb McQuaid says Jack Smith's best option now is likely a public report per special counsel regs to record for history Trump's conduct to defraud the 2020 election and steal government secrets, right like the win, Mr. Smith. Please, at least we will have a record of it, right? You know, and someone else was saying that, they're going to haul Jack Smith before Congress. And someone's like, I don't think that's going to go
That's
well
not a good
for
plan.
Trump because, like, okay, let's get all those facts on the record in Congress.
Jeffrey
then.
Toobin said so.
Yeah. Here's another one in our... stack, which is getting quite large. This is the headline. Did Joe Biden drop out? Google searches spike on election night, suggesting many Americans had no idea he wasn't running. But trust me, it's not disinformation or misinformation. It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. Everything's fine. CARE's data on how Muslims voted in 2024 election just dropped. It is beyond brutal. 53.2% for Jill Stein, 21.4% for Donald Trump, 20.3% for Kamala Harris. Democrats have lost Muslims so badly over Gaza that the Muslim ban guy got more votes than she did. Guy that's going to ban all the Muslims and then flatten Gaza on the body of dead Palestinians. Okay. Nicely done. And also, did I mention... Okay, John Pavlovitz. Right now, MAGAs are pumping out their chests because they think they and Trump defeated us. It's when they can't pay their mortgages or afford groceries or get health insurance that they'll realize Trump was the singular enemy all along, and we were fighting for them, too.
Yes, we were.
Thank you. To my point about all the people you hate that you call liberal elites, they'll be able to afford all that. It's not going to hurt them.
Nope.
Fuzzy says, no longer watching mainstream media. You're the only one. Oh, Fuzzy.
You're Obi-Wan Kenobi.
You're the only one. Walk across the fire. I have had very little sleep. Okay. Fuzzy also said, okay, Steph, I can't be the only one who has offered to put a ring on it. Maybe just friends, though, just until you find the one who is your type. I'm a helper that way. Listen, I am in such grief. Who knows what I'll do? Who knows how much America Strikes Back sex I might be having in the next little while. Come on down, everybody. Joni says, you guys are keeping me sane, just like during the Orange Stain's previous nightmare of a presidency. Never give up. Thank you. You are fortunate that I have nowhere else to go. Okay.
I ain't gonna quit. I got nowhere else to go.
And I love this country. This is my country, too. There's, what is it? What's our last count? 76 million of us. We're not some little minority. Jennifer in Chicago. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi. Go ahead.
Can I be the official moving consultant of the Stephanie Miller Show?
I'm not moving, but go ahead. Hang on. Oh, there we go. All right, go ahead, Jen.
Me to the... Now I know why people ask if you can hear, because we can barely hear you from this end.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, you know
that's
why?
Okay. Because we can't afford the fancy right-wing phone systems.
My point exactly. I'm in the moving business. I represent a major national van line. And we have over 1,000 truckers out there on the road. Uh-huh. And you know what they can hear no matter where they go is right-wing extremist hate radio. What they can't hear in many parts of the country is people like you.
Yep.
And we need to start pushing our Democratic millionaires to make them buy radio stations.
Do you think you're singing my tune, Jen?
Some people will say,
I've been screaming this for 25 years.
I know. What do we do, Stephanie?
Well, I hope if this,
you know
listen,
what? I'm
Jen,
over crying, by the way.
I know.
I'm fired up.
Good. Well, Jen, here's the thing. I know.
And I want to tell your listeners about resist2025.org because this may help them to get through this. There's some good videos on there. There's things you can do. Another really promising information, because I do agree with you, it's all about the messaging and who's getting it and where they're getting it. You know, there are people in some rural parts of this country that didn't even have internet, that still don't, but you know what they're getting it? They're getting it because of Joe Biden, because it's part of the infrastructure deal.
Thank you.
You know, and they'll probably get it when Nutjob is in the White House.
And Jen, listen, I have to say, everything you're talking about is what we've been screaming about for years and years and years. But if this isn't the wake-up call that wealthy Democrats or the party or whatever needs, I don't know what is. And I keep saying it's not just about me. It's about the whole infrastructure and the next generation of this infrastructure. It's not, oh, please help me keep my show. It's about you have got, these are the truth tellers on our side. I'm sorry. You cannot, they're just lies on their side. I would admit if I lost a fair fight, I went, you know what? People agree with you on taxes or on XYZ. But
you know what?
Yeah.
When I'm sitting at my desk, I'm listening to you on the internet. But when I'm in my car, because I'm an outside sales rep, I'm listening to you on the radio. Radio is not dead yet, Stephanie.
Yep, I got
it. And here I have one other piece of good news that I read this weekend.
Okay.
I saw that, because I thought, how do you unbrainwash cult members, like a massive cult member situation? They've done some studies at MIT where they can use AI to on social media to get these people off their stupid conspiracy theories.
Right.
So, and you know why? Because AI doesn't get emotional. They don't get frustrated. They don't name call.
Yeah.
They just keep at it until the person is convinced.
Yeah.
Now, if we can figure out how to apply that to Fox News.
Yep. And remember,
then
hate has won before many times in history, but in the end, love always wins out. And it just, we have to, this is.
I just don't want to go through a world war to get to it.
I know. But thank you, honey, for your thoughts.
It's scary.
And thanks for hanging in there with me.
Right.
This is, this is what I'm saying. By the way, lift someone up. I tried to call a lot of the people I love, because a lot of people are struggling and they're going through other life stuff, illness, losing people, reach out. You don't know what people are going through that may need, right? They may need some. So I thank all the people that are lifting me up, but I take it as they're trying to lift all of us up to go, we're not alone. We're in this fight together. Kat tweeted, Steph, I feel like my soul has been punched. My sadness has turned to anger, but I won't give up on you or any progressive voices. I won't give up at all. Thank you, Kat. Vote your interest, said, am with you, especially now. We know you understand our grief with these horrific election results. I tune into your show for the confidence I don't stand alone against these fascist criminals. You do not. 76 million of us. Aja Kane said, I'm right there with you today. So grateful for you and your tribe. Thank you. It makes no sense after the energy she generated, explaining racism to my young nieces yesterday, crushing their hope and enthusiasm with reality. I was talking to you, Jody, yesterday about all of those videos with Kamala Harris, with little girls. Mm-hmm. It just breaks my heart today, with people having to explain. I was saying that was the saddest tweet last week. Someone's like, stop telling your daughters they can be president someday. They can't. I mean, I hope that's not
in
true.
This country right now.
Yeah. Yep. Seattle John said, this old grizzled Vietnam vet is with you, sister. Viva la resistance. Dumb in my best Stephanie Miller Show impression. I love you, Jojo from Jers. He writes as well. Yes, we have to dust off the whole Viva la resistance. There's a silver lining, Jody. Since he's going to blow up the economy with his tariffs and mass deportations, I don't have to buy new resistance T-shirts. I just went back to all my old ones. Do you know how many Trump shirts I have? Win-win. How many resist T-shirts I have? You stepped on the slide whistle trying to get to the resistance music. It's Les Marseillais. Is that how you say it?
Something like that.
All right. He'll find it. Sean's filling in. It's over there somewhere. But just because we can't find the song doesn't mean we can't find our resistance.
Exactly.
It's in us. It lives in us. Okay, 47 minutes. There you go. Vive la resistance! Together we will find a je ne sais quoi. Au revoir, ennui. What? Onward. Pepe Le Pew. Jacques Cousteau. Guy Lafleur. Listen, I'm doing the best I can this morning.
I'm not even sure how to correct you on any of that.
Escargot! René Robert! Gilbert Parot! Okay.
Catherine Deneuve.
Catherine Deneuve! Oh, especially in the Lizzie movie. Oh! LeBeau from Hogan's Heroes. See? We're laughing again. Just to keep from crying all day. Alrighty then. 48 minutes after.
President of the Fairfax County School Board.
Thank you. We need to redo that jingle.
Yes.
Hey, Carl. Good morning, honey. Thanks for calling in yesterday. We needed each other.
Was it yesterday? It feels like it's been years.
Yeah, I know. Now you're back in your regular time.
Yeah.
Carl, how are you feeling day two? And, as a former Democratic strategist, as an elected Democrat, I mean, as I was saying, clearly we can't live in a bubble and go, oh, no, we did everything perfectly. I mean, yesterday was a bloodbath. And we have to look at, I just don't want to do the circular firing squad and infighting. Just give us your thoughts.
Well, first, I've had a lot of people reach out and say, what do we do? And I think two things are important. One, if we truly do care about each other the way that we always talk about caring about each other, we can't step away from this fight.
Yeah.
And so how do we remain capable of being in it, shoulder to shoulder? And I think two things are important. One, people need to find joy outside of politics as well, right? So find the things that you like doing and lean into those things.
As long as this show is still part of that.
Yeah.
Right. Just this show. Maybe just this show. And then
I'm not saying to step away from politics. I'm saying to grow your life around also the things that you find
that's right.
joyful that are not impacted by the orange menace.
Yep.
And so do that. And for me, that includes spending more time with my friends, my dog, etc. And then the second thing is charge your batteries. And hopefully finding the joy will help that happen, because we have an obligation. Like I often describe it as like my switch is turned on, right? Like I can't not remain engaged.
Yeah.
I can't walk away. I'm not built that way. I have to remain engaged in this. I have to continue to push for what I think is right. And so I know millions of other people are just like that. The switch is on. They can't turn it off. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't turn it off. And so we have to remain committed to making progress however we possibly can. I strongly encourage people to get involved at the local and state level, because it's going to be a horribly depressing 2 years, this first part of the next Trump administration. And we need to continue fighting there. And perhaps you can feel like you're making some progress doing that, but you can certainly do that at the local level too.
Yeah. So, we're all reading the analyses. Where's this, Chris? New York Times. Yep. At one Democratic fundraiser said, how is it possible we could lose to this guy? It's just malpractice. I mean, I think that's people are having a hard time getting their head. First of all the polls were wrong again, right? I mean, it's, and I think it's just, you're right, to this guy. I mean, but this is the thing, like I was saying, that to me, disinformation is the biggest thing, because they just believe him. However many millions of those people believe that he is the one that's persecuted. Every single charge against him is fake news, right? That absolutely they're doing a surgery on trans kids in school. I don't even know what else, right? The border's wide open. All of this stuff that we know provably is not true. But, among the most pronounced changes, Latino men favored Trump by a 10-point margin after they backed Joe Biden by a 23-point spread. Harris held a 25-point edge with Latino women, but that was down 14 points from Biden's 38-point spread. Those of us on our side, I know, have a hard time going, he is the biggest racist. He started and ended this political journey with smearing Latino people. But, okay. As I said, though, yesterday, Carl, nobody is for illegal immigration, but obviously our saying he's the one that killed the bill didn't seem to get through, right?
I don't think so. I think many people vote on one issue, and it's the economy.
Yes.
And for the better part of 2 years, we told people who were struggling to pay for groceries, to pay for gas, to pay for healthcare, and all these other things, that inflation was, coming down, and that we had the lowest job rates, in many decades.
All
Both
true.
of those things are true.
All true.
Both of those things are true. But that doesn't change the fact that people were paying more for groceries and other things. And so when you look at focus groups talking about those issues, many people, first of all, we remember, like, most people are not as connected and, deep in the weeds on policy as we are, right?
York Times PitchBot writes, analysis, to broaden their appeal with Latinos, Democrats must start trashing Latinos. Thank you. Thank you. I can see how his message was much better, that you're floating garbage rapists. I'm sorry. You know what? I am still in my anger phase. I wasn't sure.
Life is weird.
Okay, if Lynn, as a black woman, can stay in this fight in Arizona, I can. Hi, Lynn. Hello.
Hi, Steph. How are you?
Good. You know.
I'm going to stay in the fight.
A simmering ball of rage. How are you?
Nowhere else to go. Oh.
Okay. Go ahead.
If the lamestream media could just stop with the, oh, we're not sure, and oh, we don't understand. Oh, I understand. I understand exactly.
Yeah.
Until we're able to get past the racism and the misogyny, this country will never change.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for the fight, and I am firmly angry. I'm not sure. I don't know when I'm going to get out of the anger stage.
Yeah.
But thank you. We love you so much.
I love you back, Lynn. Thank you. By the way, here's I saved this for you. This is how I know we can still have nice things. Did you see the actual, what do you call it, statement that Melania Trust put out? She said, majority of Americans have entrusted us with this important responsibility. We will safeguard the heart of our republic, freedom. Wait, hang on. Oh, no, that's not it. I anticipate the citizens of our nation rejoining in our commitment to each other, rising above ideologies for the sake of
individual liberty.
She actually wrote it.
Individual liberty?
Yeah. So, see, we can have nice things for the sake of
individual liberty
and economic prosperity.
Economic prosperity. We'll make her giggle.
It's funny, Sean, because he ran against foreigners, and she sounds like Latka from Taxi. That's why that's funny. Okay. Joe in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Hello, Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Stephanie. I can barely hear you.
All right, go ahead.
Anyways, I was just wondering who's going to be the George Floyd, what ethnic group, and how soon after Trump's inaugurated it'll happen. I'll take my answer off the air. Thanks. Have a good day.
Okay. Thank you. I don't think I heard his question either.
It was about who's going to be the next George Floyd or something.
Okay. All I know is I have an Okay, Heather Cox Richardson coming up.
So the U.S. media is talking a lot about secession these days. That's this fall's clickbait. A recent poll from the University of Virginia Center for Politics showed that 52% of Trump voters at least somewhat believe that the red states should secede from the United States. I'm still waiting for certain Trump supporters to secede from the Confederate States. But don't worry, though. No one's actually going to secede from their Social Security or their Medicare or their Medicaid or their pension or even their Obamacare. I know it's shocking, but some Trump supporters haven't actually thought certain shit all the way through. Also, keep this in mind. Donald Trump had 74 million votes. Half of that is roughly 12% of the overall population and dwindling. Because the GOP and their media keep telling conservative people not to trust medical safety precautions during a plague. It's almost like they realize they don't need these voters to win elections in certain states anymore. But then a recent YouGov Brightline Watch poll said that 2/3 of Southern Republicans would back secession. Allow me to offer a solution. Right-wing extremists, we're going to offer you your own sovereign territory. Here's how it works. Y'all get a big chunk of Texas, okay? Or you can get chunks of 2 different states. I don't know, you want 2 full states? I love Alabama and Mississippi, but you guys can take those states and we will just bring in DC and Puerto Rico and keep 50 stars on our flag. The free, independent, trickle-down republic of Whitopia. Then all the racists and white supremacists, all the fascists, all the oligarchs, all the Proud Boys and 3%ers and Oath Keepers, rich guys escaping taxation. Middle-class white folks escaping somewhat browner neighborhoods. Industrial polluters escaping anti-pollution laws. all the white women who are dead inside, all kinds of ignorant, mean Americans escaping critical thinking, pandemic safety guidelines, proper English grammar, and portion control. All the men who still can't spell "your" properly. Welcome home. No taxation, no regulation, just like Somalia, but mostly Caucasian. Fly your Confederate flag. Ban abortion. Ban gay marriage. Ban being gay. Close borders. Open carry. All the guns you want. All the drugs you want. All the junk food you want. And no vaccines. Except for the rich people of Whitopia, who will then tell the working people of Whitopia, you don't need those vaccines. You know, like it is here, now. And Supreme Ruler Trump gets to go full Scarface meets Caligula. Military parades in his honor, his face on gigantic billboards, stadium rallies. He can execute drug dealers on camera. He can marry his own daughter on camera. It's going to be like a Werner Herzog movie. Trump and his two sons, Fredo and Shemp, they can show up wearing full military uniform if they want. And best of all, he can sell his supporters even more merch. And all the liberals and progressives and moderates and sane Republicans will stay here, and we will work together, and we will fight, and we will compromise to try to help the majority of Americans. But we only have one condition. Before you secede, we get to install cameras everywhere. At the 3-month mark, we turn the cameras on, and the rest of the world gets to watch it streaming for $100 a month on pay-per-view, just to see how well your economic theories really play out with no interference from us. At the 6-month mark, when Whitopia has become a third world shithole hellscape with no regulations, ruled by a dictator thug who dresses like the captain of the Love Boat, then we'll send over a tiny piece of those pay-per-view profits as foreign aid. At the 1-year mark, we're going to have a lot of desperate Whitopian caravans of refugees at our southern border begging for amnesty. Boo-boo, I don't think so. Mexico's that way. Go make your case to them. America's full. And we have to build a wall. Now, of course, none of this will ever happen. Every red state has blue cities. Every blue state has red counties. We are interconnected as a people. We will rise or fall together. America is where you're stuck with people even if you can't stand them. You know what that means? We're like family. It's true, there are two Americas, but I view us as being more like a pair of conjoined twins who share a heart. We don't see eye to eye, we're not the same, but we can't be separated because we share the same heart. That's America. Although, in reality, in this scenario, only one of the twins has a brain, and the twin that doesn't have a brain won't stop just beating the crap out of the one that does have a brain. The one that has a brain just has to sit there, I guess, and fucking take it, because that's civility, right? When the brainless twin goes low, we gotta go high, so we just keep getting pummeled and pummeled in the face by our brainless twin because we share the same heart. And that's America. And they asked me to end this on a positive note. This is cold.
Hey, man, she's a keeper, baby. That's a dream come true. Let me tell you what.
Where do you put your smokes, though? It's like they're in the other pocket. I don't know. Where do you keep
They
them?
rolled up in your sleeve. What are you talking about? And also, smoke, it's a state fair. You can't smoke at a state fair. You can dip, though. It's weird. So
Right.
smoke dissipates in the air, but you can dip and spit all over the place, and nobody gives a shit. I have
Well, I
not
don't do
figured
it
it out,
anyway.
but I do not mind, by the way. Oh, it's
Well,
always
that's
good
my
to see
cousin's
you.
boyfriend, so he's
Oh.
in my family.
Come on now. I couldn't love you more if we were twice related. So, but the idea, back to normalcy, relative normalcy.
Right. Well, that's it.
Like Trump coming out and kind of like rambling on in this situation of his own making, and then never sort of finding his way back to anything useful. The most house sparks you will ever see, house sparksing anywhere in your general vicinity. Please share the show out. Send some likes and some loves and some, it's the cheapest, freest thing you can do to support the show. And you can also subscribe to the podcast, House Sparks Podcast, Mega Worldwide. I think the phrase is wherever you get your podcasts, which quite frankly is none of my business. I'm not gonna peek at you through the bushes while you're getting your podcasts on. I'm just not gonna do it. Even if I had a podcast called Peeking Through the Bushes, I wouldn't do it. But especially not now, you maniacs, you beloveds. Don't forget to house sparks your way house sparks through this as you house sparks while you're house sparksing.
Ethical in business, being sensible and level-headed, not being a bully, not being selfish, and not being a total.
Thank you, Sweeper. Everybody on social media has been passing that around. Just speaks for a lot of us. Judd Legum said the election was only a few days ago and everyone should process the results on their own timeline, but fatalism is not a strategy, nor is browbeating anyone who is not sufficiently fatalistic. Thank you. I am happy-clappy by nature. Again, you can say, oh, you live in a liberal bubble, but a lot of prominent Republicans, pollsters, pundits all thought that Love and Joy and Kamala Harris was going to win. So, and there are, as I keep saying, Jody, 76 million of us, right? We are not some tiny minority. A smidge over 30% of the country is who voted for Donald Trump. Yep. This has happened in history before, which is why I'm so excited to have Heather Cox Richardson for the first time. I can't tell you how many people, my sister, friends have sent me Heather Cox Richardson's pieces, and she is a historian, which I think is, it's just helpful to remember we have been in these times before. We've been in dark times before. Frank Conniff said, yes, please, by all means, political pundits who are always wrong about everything, tell us why the election went the way it did and what it all means. Thank you. This is why Jody Hamilton has recorded the song Shut Up. This is why. Shut up! Why don't you just shut up? Everybody, shut up.
Yep.
Thank you. Oh, she even recorded a new anthem for the show. A talented little red-haired girl.
She's got gray hair.
Fight! 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 I ain't going down, I'm swinging. Fight!
Yeah!
Fight! Fight! I ain't going down, I'm swinging. Fight!
Yeah!
Fight!
Yeah! That's what I'm talking about.
Fight! I ain't going down, I'm swinging.
Yeah! 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 Well, why did you record it if you don't want me to get all fired up? Dean Obadala said, if those who involved in civil rights, suffragette, gay rights, or any other movement quit after one big setback, none of what they achieved would have ever happened. Thank you, Dean. I am in this fight with you. Please support Dean and all of the great progressive voices out there. Is more critical now than ever. And I appreciate all of the love. Nomi said, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't say it before now. Stephanie Miller, the love and admiration I have for you is immeasurable. You have the strength I've never seen before. Hugs to you for making me feel connected too. We are all connected. This is a we. We are, what are we, Sean? Family. Family. For those of you that are also stuck in that Tarzan movie, who feel that some of our other family is not really family, right. But this is your family. Right. I say to you, you are my
family.
Thank you.
Yes, family.
It's the
Also, Mirror, Jean-Claude. It's another line from Greystoke, Legend of the Apes. I don't know why. Okay, Jim says, thank you, Mama, for being our rock. You are one of the many things I have to be thankful for as we travel down this unknown road together. We are a family. And we will endure it if we all stick together.
Family. Yeah. Yes, family.
Particularly those of you that have some family that is lame. Okay. We are your family. Okay. John Pavlovitz, part of our new family, says a large number of currently insufferable white working class people who think they've won are soon going to get body slammed by Project 2025 and realize the libs that they just own were fighting for them all along, too. Thank you. Bob Schooley, going to guess the press will suddenly lose their appetite for front page stories about the president's age and cognitive condition. We hate literally everyone this morning, don't we?
Pretty much.
Except for the people in this room.
Except for Sean.
And on the people on the phone. And the people listening. Except that guy that always calls me a ditch licker. Okay.
He at least calls you a bulimic.
Yeah. Let me just tell you, I've seen a lot hotter than you have. Okay. What? Sean, what did I mean by that?
I don't know.
Michelangelo Signorelli, please support him. Amazing voice here on Sirius XM Progress. He says, I'm tired of the simplistics. Democrats had to say X, Y, and Z better to make people not vote for a racist, convicted felon rapist who incited an insurrection and tried to overturn an election. Thank you. This is on you. John Pavlovitz, one more. Really not trying to stoke conspiracy, but is it really feasible? The Democrat enthusiasm at near Obama levels, an insurrection, the fall of Rose, Trump's SCOTUS immunity deal, Project 2025 really yielded 15 million fewer blue votes. Help it make sense. A lot of people are understandably asking questions. I think that, we always pride ourselves on not being the crazy conspiracy theorists on our side.
Right.
But, you can forgive a lot of people for just, as we were saying, because make any of it make sense.
Right.
That you vote for abortion rights and then for the rapists that took away your abortion rights on the same bet. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of things.
People that voted for AOC and Donald Trump in New York.
Right.
Like what?
Right. Barb McQuaid said, to our children and grandchildren, I am so sorry we couldn't turn back the hate at this moment. That's the key. At this moment in our history, we have sometimes taken two steps back in our quest to move forward toward a more perfect union, but we can't give up on the idea of America. In this country, we accept the results of elections, we move on, and we work. Be the change, choose light over darkness, hope over fear, love over hate, unity over division. Jody, I was seeing one person talking about our job right now, too, is if you can help one trans person, if you can help one immigrant, if you can help anybody, or you lift up somebody that's really in a dark place, or a gay kid that wants to commit suicide, if Trevor Project is doing amazing work. There are people and things you can support, and move, your morality forward. It doesn't mean, just because we were saying, it doesn't suddenly make them right. It doesn't make wrong right what just happened. Asen says, Eric Swalwell, so it doesn't feel good to lose. It sucks. I hate it, and I hate it what this winner says about our country and the people who make it great, but we have work to do. We've dealt with this guy before. He's a one-term president coming in serious cognitive decline. We are not helpless. We're privileged to be among those who can do something. Thank you. We're going to need all the alpha liberals we can get, like Eric Swalwell. Bob Schooley said, as long as Republicans get mileage out of denigrating people who actually have expertise as smug know-it-alls, I'm not sure countering them with facts will ever be effective. There's that part of it.
I tried with a MAGA person I know, and he sent me Dan Bongino videos.
Yeah, your feelings crowd. It sure has a lot of feelings. They have a lot of vibes about the economy that aren't based on truth. Greg in South Carolina. Hi, Greg.
Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
First, I have to confess that I think we're all working our way through the grief.
Yeah.
And the first political commentary show that I have watched since Election Day is your show this morning. Oh. So I'm trying to get back.
You get facts here. You get fart jokes. You get, a few laughs sprinkled in.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I'm like a mama bird. I'll feed you all the facts you need to know.
Yeah, I wanted to let you know that before I even called, I went in and doubled my Patreon contribution.
Thank you.
Because the fight is on.
Thank you, sweetheart.
To all these people who keep coming up with the Democrats should have done this, should have done that. The only thing the Democrats did wrong was sit and watch over the last 30 years or so as the billionaires bought up all the media.
Thank you. Thank you for getting
one thing we failed to overcome.
Greg, and thank you. As I keep mentioning other people, I want you to know this is not just about me and my show. It's all of these amazing progressive voices that are out here on this show, on the platforms that I'm on, and the next generation of us, and the truth, and people that believe in joy and love, and not being a D to people that are different than you. Period, and doing it with humor and facts. So thank you.
You guys are the tip of the spear. We all need to get behind you.
Thank you.
That sounded one more comment.
That sounded dirty, and I
quickly,
like it.
To all those who the group that voted based on their emotions about Gaza, I would just say congratulations. Looks like a classic example of winning the battle and losing the war.
Yeah. Sadly, and for those of us that actually do care about the Palestinian people, it is a enormous tragedy. What's going to happen now? But wow, thank you for getting it. That was very sweet. Oh, the love is just rolling in. I'm the tip of the spear.
Don't do that.
Spread them. I'm the tip of the spear.
Don't do that.
Do it. Spread it, America.
Don't do that, young lady.
Artie says, my sanity's on the line. Mama's here for me again. Every time this happens, she holds the course. Follow this beautiful soul. That's me. I'm the tip of the spear. Listen to her show. Remember, love will keep us together. That's what we need, Captain and Tennille. Love will keep us. That's true. Love will keep us together. Sorry, I didn't give you a heads up on that, Sean. Ken said, I'm feeling lost. I'm a 65-year-old black male. I don't know what to do or expect going forward. Thanks for everything you do, Steph. Ken, we got you. We all got each other. Mark said, thank you, Steph, for your words. You're giving me strength as we need to get through this, and we must never forget the power of humor in these times. That's why we're playing SNL and Jimmy Kimmel. And there are people that are going to be at the top of their game now, including all of those people. Stephen Colbert. There are so many smart, moral, brilliant people out there that are going to help us because the humor is our power.
It's the only thing we can.
I'm stalling for time until he finds, There we go. Don't we all feel better automatically?
Oh yeah, it's the captain.
I'm getting the captain hat. I'm everybody's port in a storm.
What? I have this on vinyl.
Oh.
I'm old.
All right. I do. I love you. Yep. All right. See? Are we even more happy clappy now?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gloria Johnson, one of our heroes. Hope she runs again. She said, I got to get used to posting everything here, but I'm going to be you-know-where because I'm too stubborn to quit. But the fight continues. Thank you. I'm not going to quit Twitter either. All those tech billionaires have their tongue up his ass. You know what I mean? Like Mark Zuckerberg. Did you read his statement? President Trump, I'm so happy we're going to do so much better. So if you feel better about being on Threads, fine. I'm everywhere. I'm on Twitter, Threads, Facebook, Instagram. I'm not giving up the fight. It annoys people. It's my own special gift.
I ain't gonna quit. I got nowhere else to go.
Brian Tyler Cohen says Republicans have a right-wing media ecosystem that repeats GOP talking points ad nauseum until they're seared into your cerebral cortex. Not only is there no equivalent on the left, but plenty of Democratic politicians still refuse to bolster independent progressive outlets. They still give all the juicy interviews to mainstream media, still break news on mainstream media, still pretend mainstream media is on our team. They're not, and in fact bend over backwards not to be viewed as the liberal media. Please support Brian Tyler Cohen. He's an amazing voice. He does a podcast with Glenn Kirshner, another one of our warriors, which, by the way, I'm tired of people going, oh, Glenn was wrong about everything. I didn't want to hit it. Are you kidding me? We are not. Every legal analyst was wrong because we're not in a nation of laws anymore. Right. We're in a nation of a man. Right. So all of their expertise of, as prosecutors, that we are in some extra legal... I don't know where we are, and hopefully we will get back. But it is not people like Glenn Kirshner's fault. He's not just being, happy clappy for the sake of. He's basing it on everything he knows about the law, as are all our legal warriors who we're going to need more than ever now. All right, 20 minutes, and Heather Cox Richardson, Patriot, coming up in just a few minutes. 20 minutes after the.
it's very understandable that the Department of Justice would be thinking about how to have these cases essentially dismissed without prejudice, or to put on a pause given that DOJ policy.
Andrew, I have to ask you, because you've written so much about this and thought so much about these cases, the classified documents case, all the cases, January 6th. How do you feel as a former prosecutor and a lawyer?
I think of this very much from an international perspective. So, Andrea, very much in your wheelhouse, because I think about the other countries that have been able to have a legal system that have held political leaders, even the most senior political leaders, to account in fair trials. And that is not to prejudge what a jury would do here, but the defendant and the public had a right to have a speedy trial. And I think our legal system has really failed us, at least at the federal level. The New York criminal case is one that has gone to a verdict. And so the public has had the benefit, Donald Trump and the prosecution have had the benefit of the trial. But in general, I think that our country does not look like the sort of vaunted rule of law country that we like to think it is.
So I had a few people reach out, so I figured I'd jump on here and just let everybody know that was me driving President Trump's garbage truck. There's me with Vivek right there, but I gotta say it was an honor and a privilege to drive Garbage Force One. President Trump is just a normal, everyday guy. He hopped in, no problem. He looked at me, he said, "Give me one of these right here," and we don't have one of these, we have one of those. So I honked a couple times and he laughed. He said, "How about we take this bad boy through McDonald's?" And I said, "Sir, I don't think she'll fit in the drive-thru." He said, "It's all right, I used to work there." And he turned to me and he said something, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it. He said, "This is really sticking it to Joe Biden." I said, "Yes, sir, it is." So, Joe, consider this a message to you, because you called us garbage. In order to prove that we aren't garbage, we got a truck that hauls garbage. Does that sound like something garbage would do? Would be to drive around in a truck that hauls garbage? I don't think so. You made a mistake, Joe. You can't call a group of people garbage unless it's meant to be funny. And in that case, those people need to stop being so soft. Maybe get a sense of humor. But if you call me garbage, that's offensive. And you should consider what it's like for people's feelings to hear that. You might as well call me Oscar the Grouch, because you done pissed me off, Joe. And if being a patriot is what they're calling garbage these days, then yeah, I am garbage. Because I'm going to show up to the polls wearing a garbage bag to show you what us white trash can do. And they're going to rename Election Day Garbage Day, because we're going to be taking out the trash, which is you, even though I'll be the one wearing the garbage bag.
Did I mention you should support progressive bright lights like Dino Vidala here on Sirius XM Progress? He tweets, GOP President George Bush inherited a strong economy, drove us into a recession. Democrats had to save us. Trump inherited a strong economy, drove us into a recession. Again, Democrats saved us. Yet we were told white men voted for Trump, not for racism and sexism, but for the economy. This one is a gay person, breaks my heart. Kyle Griffin said the LGBTQ Youth Suicide Prevention and Crisis Intervention Group Trevor Project, that's been one of our sexy liberal causes many times, said in a statement that it had an approximately 125% increase in crisis contact volume on Election Day through Wednesday morning compared to typical days. Again, if you can help, if you can reach out to a marginalized person that's suffering even more because of what happened last week, please do it. Dana Gould said, like everyone who voted for the losing side this week, I've been trying to make sense of what happened. I took a step back, and this is what I came up with. These results are consistent with what has motivated Americans since 1776, money. Why was this country founded? Yes, we were motivated by beliefs and freedom and liberty, but what triggered the war was taxation without representation, money. Our original sin, slavery. Why? Cheap labor, money. I mean, it is people's perception that they're going to do better, which is, unfortunately, in this case, a giant lie. Jeff Tiedrich says, so according to the constitutional scholars at MAGA University, Kamala Harris can just refuse to certify the election. Do I have that right? I am for any and all acts of resistance at this point.
Well, there is the suggestion for Biden to step down and put her in.
Yes, I'm for that. Just to up the
And
47 merchandise.
He could tell the archivists to make the ERA in the Constitution right now.
Yeah.
The president could.
Yeah.
Because it's passed.
Dean also said, how longer do we need to pretend that the white men who voted for Trump did so for economic reasons and not for the racism and sexism, asking for a friend? Bob says, I'm just seeing for myself the first Fox interview where Comer or Jordan suggests that they interpret the 22nd Amendment as meaning that twice consecutively, and the Supreme Court will have to weigh in on it. Yeah. We'll just, speaking of being in some sort of extra legal territory now. Bader Diedrich said, inflation is coming down. Infrastructure bill is creating job. CHIPS Act ditto. The economy is primed for the next 2 years to be great, and Republicans will take credit for it. Not to mention pass the same immigration reform bill and then take credit. Right. The only reason we don't have immigration reform is Republicans and Donald Trump. Robert Reich, for 50 years, the median wage of hourly workers stagnated or declined while the stock market and CEO pay skyrocketed. Is it any wonder why so many feel abandoned by the system? People lose faith and a demagogue fills the void. This is why we must fix the system. Thank you. Kurt Bardella, has any media asked Donald Trump why he thinks Biden and Democrats who were out of power rigged the election in 2020 but didn't in 2024 when they were in? Nothing needs to make sense to them, right? No. That's why we need historians like Heather Cox Richardson, who joins us for the very first time. Next on The Stephanie Miller Show.
It's very understandable that the Department of Justice would be thinking about how to have these cases essentially dismissed without prejudice or to put on a pause given that DOJ policy.
Andrew, I have to ask you, because you've written so much about this and thought so much about these cases, the classified documents case, all the cases, January 6th, how do you feel as a former prosecutor and a lawyer?
I think of this very much from an international perspective. So, Andrea, very much in your wheelhouse, because I think about the other countries that have been able to have a legal system that have held political leaders, even the most senior political leaders, to account in fair trials. And that is not to prejudge what a jury would do here, but the defendant and the public had a right to have a speedy trial. And I think our legal system has really failed us, at least at the federal level. The New York criminal case is one that has gone to a verdict. And so the public has had the benefit. Donald Trump and the prosecution have had the benefit of the trial. But in general, I think that our country does not look like the sort of vaulted rule of law country that we like to think it is.
We can't wait to see what you do with the country this time. I keep waking up in the middle of the night screaming, with joy, of course.
My only regret is that we didn't get to do another January 6th, because I was ready.
Me too.
SNL. The comedians and the historians will save us. I am so excited to say good morning to Heather Cox Richardson. I was just telling you off air, Heather, if I could count how many times a loved one has said, hey, have you read? And I go, let me guess, Heather Cox Richardson. And they say yes. And somebody will send me one of your pieces. But let's just start at the beginning. What was your reaction? What were you feeling? Wednesday, what are you feeling up through now?
My reaction, I think, was mostly sorrow. You know, the American experiment is a great thing, and the idea of human self-determination is a great thing. And to see it perverted through the disinformation campaigns that we've seen, it's just heartbreaking. I mean, you think of the hundreds of thousands of people who have given their all to protect this country, and to watch people piss it away is just very sad.
Yeah. So interesting. I've been talking about disinformation all week, but Covey tweeted in 2024 that they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs proves to be more convincing message than lowering the cost of prescription drugs. I mean, I keep saying that, Heather, that had we lost on the issues, like, oh yeah, okay, people disagree with us on taxes or whatever. We lost on a solid wall of lies that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And therein, and I have to say, so we don't go down a deep, dark rabbit hole here, that therein, to me, lies a great deal of hope in that,
we've seen the same sort of thing in the past where somebody rides to national power on lies, but that's not actually what people want. And you saw this all over the country, the degree to which people backed progressive causes.
Thank you.
And the actual election of Trump was not by huge numbers. So the thing that I will look for very eagerly is to see to what degree people hunker down in their states and local governments and really focus on good governance there and figure out new ways to tackle the national government. But of course, with Trump in the national government, it's going to be a very different kind of government than we've ever had before.
Yeah. Rick Wilson tweeted, they're still in the shallow triumphalism phase over in MAGA land. That will be followed by the wait, what phase? Eventually it will enter the I didn't want the leopard to eat my face phase. Strap in. We've already seen this, Heather, the Latino family that voted for Trump that said, oh, well, he's not going to deport our undocumented relatives because they're not criminals. There's the woman that said, oh, well, Obamacare saved my life when I had cancer. Like, he's not going to get rid of that, is he? People Googled what's a tariff after the election.
It spiked. That spiked after the election. What's a tariff?
Yeah.
And today, as we're recording this, is Veterans Day. And of course, the Biden administration bent over backward to work with veterans to try and get homeless veterans off the streets, to make sure their families were taken care of, and to make sure veterans could re-enter the workforce. And of course, that's all going to be gone. And, similarly, labor, the fact that a lot of unionized workers sided with Donald Trump. And the first thing out of the box, he talks about, of course, cutting taxes for the wealthy and corporations. And for destroying the protections for organized labor. And, I just don't know what you do other than recognize that there's going to be a lot of hurt going forward. Now, again, one of the things, though, that I think is worth pointing out is that, well, Rick talks about shallow triumphalism, and absolutely, there is the dysfunction within the Republican Party has not gone away. And that is the idea that they're going to be able to do all this efficiently is, I think, worth at least holding as, with an attitude of we'll wait and see. Because, for example, Trump is ill. He's 78 years old. He is mentally not put together. It's very clear that he is now turning to Elon Musk to run the administration the same way he always turns to some sort of father figure to run things for him. But of course, J.D. Vance is backed by Peter Thiel, and he is theoretically the person who's supposed to be taking over for Donald Trump. And there's been an article out recently saying, he's going to be the most powerful vice president in history, even more than Dick Cheney. And I'm like, oh, come on. Dick Cheney had decades of experience in the government, and J.D. Vance has been there for 18 months. He's done almost nothing. Yep. He's not going to be a hugely powerful vice president. So you're going to see this big fight within the party to run what's going to happen, and I'm not sure that's going to be as smooth as these triumphal narratives are suggesting.
Speaking of J.D. Vance, you retweeted Caroline, who said, and so it starts. J.D. Vance says U.S. could drop support for NATO if Europe tries to regulate Elon Musk's platforms. I mean, just that whole sentence alone. And it's interesting you brought up Veterans Day. I can't tell you how many letters I've gotten from veterans that my dad was a Nuremberg prosecutor, Heather. I mean, the people that fought and died to fight fascism that are now like, oh my God, J.D. Vance said he's America's Hitler. His generals said that, and yet here we are, right?
And yet here we are.
So, by the way, I don't, of all your retweets, this one, Taliban congratulates Americans for not handing leadership of their great country to a woman. Someone retweeted that, and it just, of all of the horrible parts of this election, being a woman today, it's tough, isn't it?
It is. And the thing that I've actually been writing about that Taliban congratulations to the American people, actually not to Trump, but to the American people for guaranteeing they did not put a woman in charge of the United States of America. What's really interesting about writing about that is, again, when Trump was out of power, any suggestion that he had anything to do with the treaty, the Doha Treaty between the U.S. and the Taliban that cut out the Afghan government, that was just anathema. Nobody would hear that. They wanted to blame Joe Biden for it. Well, now, of course, now that Biden is working his way out of power and Trump is coming back in, all of a sudden people are like, wait, Trump was the one behind that treaty. And again, it's going to be interesting going forward because there's so much that anything you said, disinformation, misinformation, and angry Trump cultists would push back on and scream, no, 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 it's all Biden. Now the Republicans are the ones holding the bag, and that's not a comfortable position to be in when, in fact, your party embraces ideologies that are not popular with the majority of Americans.
Yeah.
So how you square that circle is going to be problematic here at home, but and of course it's going to be devastating overseas. But I think that we are looking at a very a repressive time, a frightening time in many ways. But we're also looking at an extraordinarily choppy time where there isn't going to be a really clear outcome that we can see in the short term where somebody is in fact going to march toward a certain thing. We're going to see cruelty. We're going to see policies that are designed to put in place the things that Project 2025 called for, or that, that Stephen Miller wants, and so on.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of cross cuts that are going to mean extraordinary insecurity because you simply don't know what's going to come next. And that is going to be something we're going to have to be very careful to weather without sort of giving up our hands and saying, oh, we just don't know what's going to happen next, so we quit.
And Matt, yes, absolutely. And talking about the deal with the Taliban and remembering that he invited them to Camp David on 9/11, I was thinking, Heather, I felt a lot like after 9/11, after this election, because when you think about it, domestic terrorists attacked us on January 6th, and now he's going to pardon them, let them out of jail. So in a sense, we have been attacked again.
Yes, yes. And anybody who was really following what was going on has seen this. In many ways, what we have seen is the ideology of the U.S. Confederacy, this Confederate States of America from the 1860s, reborn in America, and as it has been since that period, but reborn in America in such a way that it's managed to take over the United States of America. And what I mean by that is that the Confederacy really rooted itself in the idea that some people were better than others, and a few people had the right to rule over the rest of us. And that, of course, was destroyed by the concept that was embodied in the Declaration of Independence that said that we are all created equal and we have a right to have a say in our government. And those two things have fought throughout the United States. And one of the reasons that I really thought that Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz were going to win this year is because in the past, whenever we came right up to the edge, Americans, against their will, against their, their wishes, against their interest, you could fill in all those caveats, always sided with the Declaration of Independence.
Right. Yeah.
This is the first time we have said, nah, not so much. We'll take a dictator who thinks he has the right to rule over the rest of us. We're very much in uncharted waters.
Well, and Heather, this is why we look to historians like you. I have to say, I've been, quoting Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and all kinds of, and I'm like, yeah, they got shot. But anyway, their point was really good that we can't quit. That none of these movements succeeded overnight, and we've been through dark times before, haven't we? And here we are again.
Yeah, you can't quit. I mean, realistically, the tomorrow's gonna come, right? So you have two options. You can either say, I'm not going to participate in it and I'm going to be a victim of whatever people impose on me, or you can say, I have agency and I will make a stand in whatever way I can. And the more people who do that, recognizing again that what the Trump administration promises to put in power is not popular. It is not a popular set of policies at all. Project 2025, when people actually know about it, they turn against it in huge numbers. Similarly, we know that anybody who actually knows what's happening in the country actually accurately assesses the facts of our country, sides with the Democrats overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
So it's not a question of being one lonely voice calling into the wilderness, as it has been at times in our history. It's really a question of making sure that this popular movement, which I still believe is there, manages to take back over the central pieces of our government that will enable us to hold off those trying to impose Christian nationalism on us and instead put in place, it's not even, people keep talking about it being a leftist agenda or a progressive agenda. Honest to God, what Harris and Walz wanted was very much to the right of Dwight Eisenhower in the 1950s, who was a Republican.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about destroying the United States and destroying the government in order to put in place a leftist government. We are talking about holding back fascism.
Thank you.
And that's something that we should all be able to get behind.
And speaking of acts of resistance, before we break here, you retweeted, I love LA. Have I mentioned that? Mike Sington retweeted him. He said, new LAPD chief Jim McDonald says police will not participate in mass deportations. What I can say here is any talk of mass roundups or police department being involved in that thing, we don't do that kind of thing. These are the two Americas. The other headline I'm looking at, Heather, Fox's Jesse Waters says footage of deportations is going to be hysterical. You know, evil may have won for the moment, Heather, but as a historian, I think you're right that this is going to be horrible. You know, because he's a reality TV guy. He's going to want some big, dumb, televised, cruel stunt, isn't he?
Oh, yes. I think we should expect to see what we saw in his first term, which, if you remember, I believe the travel ban came 9 days into his administration. And of course, what he would really like is for there to be mass protests against the sorts of things that he will do to undocumented immigrants and to their families, because he would like to see protests that will enable him to call up the Insurrection Act and use the troops against the American people. But as I say, it's, again, not clear that the military will do that. There's an awful lot of churn here, and so we don't know exactly what's going to happen. I know you have to take a break. I want to come back after that and talk about what you just said.
I'm so excited. I'm like a camel. I'm just going to drink you in as long as I can get you. I've been wanting to get you for months and months. All right. Heather Cox Richardson. How fancy am I?
I know.
47 minutes after the hour. You're right. I do need a tissue.
Do you want me to go get you one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Hi, Dana.
Steffi, I just realized I don't have my water near me, and someone told me if you drink water, and you can't cry and drink water at the same time, and I'm like, my water's too far away.
No, that didn't work either. Okay.
I've been in and out of tears as well, sweetheart. So it's gonna ebb and flow. Depends on what people ask me, honestly.
Yeah. Yes.
And other times I'm fine, and then someone's like, "What's your work schedule?" And then I lose it because I have to stand on stage tonight in front of a community that is scared, and I'm supposed to make them laugh and bring them solace and.
That's what we said. We're like yesterday.
Hard.
Nothing felt funny yesterday, right?
Yeah, it's definitely hard right now. So, but I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna raise tens of thousands of dollars for healthcare for LGBTQ people tonight. And Saturday, I'll be in Chicago with the Human Rights Campaign to raise money because we have to start building our coalition, assuming there's ever another election. We need to start building our coalition for the midterms because there's still good people that were elected in the states, and the cognitive dissonance in this country.
I know.
I can't wrap my head around it, and I'm not going to try. But the states have some good senators that got reelected.
That's right. And to your point, you tweeted to any of my LGBTQ family who needs support, please save this photo and use the resources. There is help out there. You know, I felt in a dark place. I got to tell you, Dana, we're all scared. I was telling Chris that the guy that owns the show, he said, you are no less than third or fourth call from progressive radio host that said, "Is my show over?
Yeah.
Is my career over?" Everybody's scared. You said no matter what happens, it saddens me deeply that rape, felonies, trying to overthrow our democracy, misogyny, racism, transphobia are somehow not deal breakers for tens of millions of Americans. That is the tough part. And you know, Dana, I opened the show because I know this is an issue that resonates with you. I've had to hear Joe Scarborough go off on trans people, not go off on them, but this is an issue. And I'm like, let's not bully them again. Let's not scapegoat trans people now. Like, he was going off on 85% of Americans don't think trans people should be able to play sports. And I'm like, okay, I'm not a parent. It feels maybe it's unfair or that's an issue we can talk about, but that's not what the issue was, Dana. The issue is disinformation and the lies that millions of Americans buy from Donald Trump, who actually believe they're performing trans surgery on kids in schools without your permission, and that they're doing trans surgery on illegal immigrants in prison. I mean,
and that's exactly it. Trans people have been around for since the beginning of time. They may not have had that word that we called trans people, or they identified as themselves as trans. But it's been around forever. You know, I do some work with the Gill Foundation, who's trying really hard to reach across the aisle and work with Republicans who are still on the sane side of history. And how do we do this? And they tried it with the trans community before. There was the bathroom bills in North Carolina, and it got shut down. And unfortunately, they tried it again. And it worked this time. They figured out if we talk about our little girls and our little girls in sports, people are going to start believing this, and it stuck. It's not a real threat. It's a discussion that needs to be had. There are trans athletes that should be able to participate. I know people have strong opinions about this, but this is not a threat to your democracy. And it's going to take everything I can not to get dumped on this show today, because on my other podcast I can curse. And so there's a lot of F words that have been coming out of my mouth, but I'm going to try and keep it together.
Oh, listen, our Patreon show and happy hour intros are littered with the obscenities we can't say all week. Dana, you know, I was saying the other thing is that affects 0.00001% of the population. A trans kid playing sports. I mean, it's like, but the fact that you're right, they won on the messaging for this. But to me, it's because, listen, I would be against them performing trans surgery on my child in school without my permission. But that's not, it's not happening. It's not the lies.
Happening.
It's the disinformation that I think is the hugest problem here.
I agree.
So you also said, congratulations, Sarah McBride, the first out trans woman in Congress. So damn proud of you. Yes, there are silver linings.
I've known Sarah for 15 years, and she started off working with the Human Rights Campaign as a volunteer and then a board of director, and then she ran for office in Delaware and was in the state legislature. I'm just so proud of her.
Professor, historian, is here. I love that when we first talked to you, you're like, I just want to go back to writing books no one reads. I didn't want to be doing it.
That is truly the dream of this historian, but you just never know where life's going to take you.
And now history is really important. I said before the break about the LAPD chief saying we will not participate in mass roundups and just acts of resistance. Talk about that a little bit.
So this is actually really interesting to me because there are so many ways in which we are reliving the 1890s, a period in which a very few, very rich individuals got control of the U.S. government. And one of the things, and through that, the Republican Party, and they really dominated American politics in the late 19th and early 20th century. And one of the things that happens when that happened was that Democrats turned to working within the states and within localities. They quite literally in 1884 decide that rather than trying to continue to put the Confederates at the head of the ticket, they're going to switch to the urban reform movement. And they do that with Grover Cleveland. It's really interesting that nobody actually knows much about Grover Cleveland because, in fact, he's the guy who desegregates the New York City police force. He's the guy who keeps talking about integration. He's the guy who really starts to work to incorporate women into the American body politic. And what happens is you get places, especially Tammany Hall in New York, which cleans its act up and ceases to be corrupt in the about the turn of the century, where they really start to incorporate the idea of taking care of workers who are disabled, making sure children have educations and food, and so on. And you go straight from that reconstruction of a community base, if you will, in the urban areas, to directly to FDR and the New Deal attempting to put that system in place nationally. So one of the things that I think is going to happen going forward in this period is states and local governments are going to pull back from the national government and start to try and create that kind of community base in their states and in their local governments, which, is a complete repudiation in many ways of the New Deal under which we've lived really since 1933. And years in my lifetimes, it's what made the world so secure and made America so prosperous. But it will, in fact, manage to enable some states to preserve their community-based values.
Governor Newsom is doing it out here, Heather, and
That's
I know, someone said when I say the free state of America, I mean California. It's unfortunately, and Governor Pritzker has said the same in Illinois. If you want to harm my constituents, you're going to have to come through me. So.
Maura Healey in Massachusetts as well. Mind you, these are all prosperous states. And one of the reasons that people supported the New Deal to the degree they did was the idea that if you are not living in one of those states and the federal government is no longer going to protect your rights within those states through the 14th Amendment, you're really in trouble.
Yeah. You retweeted our friend Rachel Bidikofer, who said, until we make it clear that Republican policy causes their economic woes, Americans will continue to believe Republicans are better on the economy. It's not about the issues. Biden delivered big for the working class, but none of it mattered because of ingrained perceptions. To which we go back to the mainstream media. You retweeted Wajahat Ali, who said any post-election analysis does not include the role of right-wing media, and disinformation is doing a great disservice and missing it. It's not the economy, it's the perception of it. It's
that's right.
Crime is way down. The jobless wage is at a 50-year low. Our inflation is back to where it was pre-pandemic. It's the, what do you want to call it? The messaging, right? That we're the battle we're fighting.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I actually have seen a number of legacy media journalists saying, well, the Americans hate what's happened over the last 40 years and they really want to abandon neoliberalism, which, okay, I'm with you on that. But Joe Biden literally articulated that he was leaving behind neoliberalism and he was going back to that older proven system before that delivered so hugely for the middle class and lower classes. And he simply could not get oxygen for that. And that's a real failing, I think, not only of the entire media ecosystem, but also of the legacy media for now suddenly going, hey, you should try getting rid of neoliberalism. And it's like, he did. He gave speeches every day saying that's what
we're
he
out
was
of time.
doing.
The only thing that can save the world is Heather Cox Richardson coming back on Stephanie Miller Show as often as possible. We love you, Heather. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yay. Yay.